What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 6MP Chapter 126 Foreshadows. What is the 6 paths level? 2 quarters, please subscribe. Just when everyone in the ninja world below was suspicious of life because of this out-of-spec battle. Although the two sides of the battle can't see it on the surface, they are actually thinking about it in their hearts. For example, Yi Lin, who manipulated Yamamoto Yuanyujai's puppet at this time, was like this. To be honest, the development of this incident from beginning to end actually did not exceed his expectations. In other words, from the time he got the puppet realm of Jingling, he could probably already think clearly about the direction of the plot. Puppet realm. Jingling court. Open black lens bracket special puppet close black lens bracket. The terrain required for placement. None. Remote puppet recovery. Available. Open black lens bracket installation interval. 7 days close black lens bracket. Scope. 130,000 square kilometers of 3 difficulties. Open black lens bracket puppet series Guardian 13 team close black lens bracket. In this puppet realm, host can use all puppets of the Guardian 13 team series except Tusen Kanami, Aizen Kuyusuke, 360s, Ichimaru Jian. There is a special material of the Shinigami series, Spirit, in the air in the puppet realm. All Shinigami series puppets can use the spiritual child to repair themselves after being damaged, and the energy consumption is greatly reduced. That's right, like every previous puppet realm, Jingling Ting also comes with a puppet to hang out. With the exception of Tusen Kanami, Aizen Sosuke, and Ichimaru Jin, who defected from the Godei 13 in the original work, Yi Lin can use all the Godei 13 puppets including the team members. Among all the gifted puppets, the one who surprised him the most was undoubtedly the Captain Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni. Open black lens bracket Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni, SSS level puppet. Open black lens bracket Shinigami series Godei 13 team, section captain. Puppet proficiency. 0%, skills. White hits, Dashu, Kido, Shunpo, Ryatsu, Shikai, Ryujin Jaka, Jia, Sword of Fire. Special skills. Resolved, Residual Fire Sword, 100% control proficiency can be unlocked. Puppet charge. 100%, it can be restored automatically after consumption, but it takes time. Advertisement, puppet recycling. Available, recycle puppet regardless of distance, there is a 24-hour CD. Yes, the commander-in-chief of Jingling who once defeated Uebuk, his puppet is a real SSSS. And as long as he is in Jingling Court, Yi Lin can use this puppet. It is precisely because of this that Yi Lin Ji dared to invite everyone from the ninja world to Jingling Court even though he knew that the Shao organization would probably come. And what he did was to uproot the Shao organization. But the only thing Yi Lin didn't expect was that Nagato would be so strong. You know, Yi Lin has no plans to keep Nagato in his hands. After all, Ju and the former Wei Yoruichi hidden in the dark are his big worries. So for Nagato, it was definitely a direct kill. But even so, Nagato still fought back and forth with Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni. Even when Yi Lin used Yamamoto's current strongest skill, Resolve, Sword of Fire, he still failed to kill Nagato. What was that? That was blocking that blow just now. Yi Lin, who was manipulating Yamamoto Yuanyujai Chongguo, pondered in his heart. He was very sure that the Sword of Arrogance, which could burn everything up with the blow just now, was blocked by something invisible. Wait, is it? And thinking of this, Yi Lin's heart was suddenly shocked. There is already a guess in his mind. At the same time, Nagato, who had retreated far away, was silently watching Yamamoto Genyazai Shigekuni. At this time, the absolute confidence and pride in his heart for his own strength has disappeared. Yesterday, where his arm was burnt to slag by the flames, a brand new arm has been born at this time. But the pain and the terrifying power of the blow just now made him terrified. If it wasn't for his timely use of that trick, to block a little, then he wouldn't even have a chance to regenerate his arm now, and he would have died on the spot. Monster-like speed, and that sword, and that strange ninjutsu. Nagato couldn't help but grit his teeth. He never thought that after he absorbed the power of Senluo's fruit and possessed this kind of power, he would suffer such setbacks and suppression. And it was when Nagato gritted his teeth in his heart, but everyone in the ninja world below and Nagato heard Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni's voice in unison. Advertisement. The commander-in-chief's voice was still so steady and heavy, as if even if the sky collapsed, he would not be able to move him in the slightest. Truth-seeking ball. It's rare. The old man calmly looked at the dark truth-seeking balls behind Nagato. I haven't seen it for many years, but someone has used the power of Samsara Aya to successfully master the power of all things and climb to the level of 6 paths, 2. Just following the thing that blocked the old man. Is it the border prison of the Tomb of the Wheel? Words chin. The expressions of Nagato and the people in the ninja world below have also undergone unprecedented drastic changes. The expressions of everyone in the ninja world were mixed with many doubts. Because the amount of information contained in these short 3 sentences by Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni is really huge. The first is the truth-seeking ball. The ninjas can guess that it should refer to the little orbs behind Nagato. But judging from the captain's words, those pitch-black spheres seemed to symbolize a new level of power that they had never known before, a level called the Six Paths level. And more importantly, from Yamamoto's subsequent words, they can easily guess the meaning of this so-called Six Paths level. The Eye of Reincarnation, should it be the legendary eye belonging to Sage of Six Paths? Several of them are all learned people, even if they haven't really studied the legends and myths about the Eye of Reincarnation, they have heard of Sage of Six Paths and the existence of such eyes. So, the eyes of the leader of the Akatsuki organization called Nagato or the legendary Eye of Reincarnation, and the Six Paths level should refer to the strength of the Sage of Six Paths level police. And when they thought of this, everyone's hearts couldn't help being extremely horrified and at the same time giving birth to incomparable fiery. 2.6. What is the power of all things? There are Six Paths level existences. How many are hidden in the shadows of the ninja world? For this level of the ninja world that has never been rhyme, it is natural that they want to know it. But compared to everyone in the ninja world, Nagato's horror mainly comes from Yamamoto's last words. To be honest, the other party recognized the Samsara Eye and knew about the power of all things. Although he was surprised, he could accept it. Sage of Six Paths is an era of existence. And Jingling's existence time is at least not shorter than world government, so it should also be very long. It is not surprising to know the truth-seeking ball, which is condensed by the power of Samsara and all things. 10. How could he know? The edge of the Tomb of the Wheel. Chapter 127th Wheel Tomb Prison, Otsutsugi Night comes. 3/4, please subscribe. How could he know about the Tomb of the Wheel prison? The horror in Nagato's heart was even manifested on the bright side. As a user, he is naturally the clearest about what the Wheel Tomb Border Prison is. As the Supreme Eye of Mangekyo Sharingan, the ability of Samsara Eye is naturally extremely powerful. Shinra Tianjung, Universal Pull, Planetary Devastation, Summoning Technique, Reincarnation Natural Technique, Absorb and Release Zara. These abilities are the basic abilities possessed by every pair of Samsara Eyes. But similar to Mangekyo Sharingan, each pair of Samsara Eyes will also have its own unique, special ability. And even Nagato, who is a user of the Eye of Reincarnation, knew this after taking the fruit of Senluo and mastering the Eye of Reincarnation. And the special ability possessed by his eyes is the Boundary Prison of the Tomb of Wheels. He can use it to split the four-wheel tomb clones into different space. Clone can attack and defend, and can't even be seen. Only those who also have the Eye of Reincarnation can vaguely see the four-wheel tomb clones. And the terribleness of this special ability is also conceivable. Nagato, who has the avatar of the Tomb of the Wheel, is almost equivalent to fighting 5 enemies in one, and the other party can't detect the existence of the avatar at all. It can be said that Nagato believes that this ability is almost invincible. Before that, he had indeed used the Loon Tomb clone to successfully escape the arrogant sword of Yamamoto Uenujai Chongguo, and even lost a Wheel Tomb clone. But even the heartache of losing a clone is completely incomparable to the shock in his heart now. Because the other party not only uttered the existence of the Wheel Tomb Border Prison, but even showed that he clearly understood. No, I don't believe it. Naturally, Nagato couldn't believe this, so he immediately manipulated the invisible Wheel Tomb clone and charged towards Yi Lin with the sharp sword formed by the truth-seeking ball. Sure enough, it is the border prison of the Tomb of the Wheel. From Nagato's changing expression, Yi Lin was almost certain that his guess was right. And in his heart, he was naturally vigilant. A round of tomb prison is not a good skill to deal with. In the original book, Obito just relied on a round tomb clone to almost instantly kill the 9 big-tailed beasts. However, the Tomb of the Wheel can't perceive, but not necessarily. Advertisement. So at this time, he also directly manipulated Yamamoto Uenujai Shigekuni to close his eyes. Buzz. Yamamoto Genyuzai Shigekuni's huge Ryotsu enveloped everything around him in an instant. And almost for a moment, Yi Lin was impressed by the countless tiny spots of light that existed in the entire Jingling court. That is a thing that belongs to the puppet realm, Jingling court, a spiritual child. At this time, Yi Lin could feel that the spiritual child not far from Yamamoto Uenujai Shigekuni seemed to be being pushed by some force and kept squeezing to the side. Is it there? So the next moment, Ryujin Jaka in Yamamoto's hands is already waving. Burn the city on fire. The raging fire of the blade instantly surged, and the huge flame wall completely wrapped the place where the tomb clone was located in an instant. Then, the blade has come. Boom. The violent flames and the sharp sword light flashed past, and Yamamoto Uenujai Shigekuni's figure collided with the invisible Wheel Tomb clone almost in an instant. The shock wave with a height of dozens of meters, accompanied by the smoke and dust of the thick camp, spreads towards the surrounding again. Sure enough. The spirit child is different from Zerira in the Hokage world. The alien space ability of the Wheel Tomb clone cannot ignore the existence of the spirit child. Yi Lin also secretly thought at this time. At the same time, his eyes were also on Nagato not far from Lu Xiao, and the corners of his mouth showed a slight arc. He can really see. At this time, Nagato, who saw Yamamoto Uenujai Shigekuni and the Wheel Tomb clone confrontation, also had an extremely ugly expression. He also knew that although the Tomb of the Tomb clones were also extremely powerful in combat, once their existence could be seen, their threat level would undoubtedly be greatly reduced. What makes Nagato feel heavy in his heart is that until now, he has not found any weakness in Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni. The strength displayed by the captain of the Gote 13 team, who seems to be very old, is overwhelming in all aspects. Advertisement. On the other hand, Nagato's own side, almost all the tricks he can use have been exhausted. Do not. And for this, Nagato is naturally unacceptable. He gritted his teeth and survived the pain of asking Sen Luo's fruit, gave up his bottom line and did all kinds of things, and what he did was the ideal they knew. But now, he clearly realizes that even if he almost gave up the power he gained now, it still seems difficult to take Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni. And even more critically, Yamamoto Genryuzai Shigekuni was not even the de facto ruler of Jingling. On top of Yamamoto Yuanyuji Chonguo, there is at least one more powerful, spirit king, than him. 360. This fact is naturally unacceptable to Nagato. So, die. The resentment in his heart filled Nagato's heart, so he raised his hand without hesitation and threw all the truth-seeking balls behind him. At the same time, the wheel tomb avatars beside him who were invisible, but had been protecting him around his body also attacked Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni. In the face of the cruel fact that, even if you give everything, your own strength is still not enough, Nagato chose to rhyme with all his strength without reservation. But it is also at the moment when the Tomb of the Wheel clone and the Truth-Seeking Ball are all used by Nagato to attack. Nagato's reincarnation eye with almost no vision gap captured a figure in the distance after a moment. Chakra like a blue flame burns on the figure, with white eyes like a starry sky. His face was shrouded under chara, but the breath on his body made Nagato feel an unprecedented sense of crisis in his heart. Because of the other party's physical characteristics, he had heard it countless times before. That is, the old ones, enemies of the Sage of Six Paths. World Government 5 Elders, Otsutsugi Knight. Chapter 128. Blue Crystal. Definitely a decisive choice. 4 quarters, please subscribe. Nagato didn't even have time to think about why Otsutsugi was suddenly lying in Jingling Court. Because at this time, the sense of crisis in his heart has already told him the danger of the other party. And the truth is, open black lens bracket host successfully activated, temporary puppet material, Yuhabak, the remaining number of activations. Once. The complicated voice sounded in his ears, and Yi Lin, who had already put on the Otsutsuki Knight vest, looked at Nagato, and his eyes flashed with pure murderous intent. Although this shot will make him use up another chance to use Yuhabak's temporary puppet material, Yi Lin did not hesitate at all. Because of the strength of rhyme shown by Nagato, it is enough for him to use this trump card. Nagato's current strength, Yi Lin, can be determined, it is the real SSS level, that is, the level of invincibility in the ninja world. Although compared to Kagaya, Yi Lin can be sure that Nagato should have only just stepped into this level. But there is no doubt that he is dangerous enough for Yi Lin. Because you must know that although Yi Lin does have several SSSS level combat powers, there are huge limitations. Yuhabak's temporary puppet material has a limit on the number of times it can be used, while Yamamoto Genryuzai Shigekuni can only be activated in Jingling Court. In addition, although Kaido's awakening state should also be able to touch Nagato, it is obviously a little bit less meaningful to say that it is definitely defeated or killed. In other words, if Nagato really wants to forcefully unify the ninja world and resurrect Otsutsuki Kagaya, then Yi Lin seems to have nothing to do. Even if he activates Yuhabak's temporary puppet material, it is very difficult to kill Nagato in a one-on-one situation. Therefore, Yi Lin has already made a decision in his heart. If he can, he will let Nagato stay here forever this time. And what he has been waiting for is exactly this opportunity. Nagato's Wheel Tomb clone was dispatched, and the truth-seeking ball, who was both offensive and defensive, was not by his side. Power to self. Without hesitation, Yi Lin, possessed by Yuhabak's puppet, directly poured powerful power into his body. Destroy the great sage. As his words fell, a giant bow made of pure energy slowly formed above the sky. Advertisement. A giant arrow of energy that was enough to twist the surrounding space was placed on the bowstring. Yi Lin's tensai eye suddenly glared. The next moment, a space passage is opened in front of Nagato. And in less than a blink of an eye, the huge energy arrow was already shot into the space channel, and then hooked in front of Nagato. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Nagato's eyes were round, but it was obviously too late to hide. He tried to absorb it with the eye of reincarnation, but the power from Yuhabak that Yi Lin used was not Zara, but a spiritual child. And since Truth-Seeking Ball and Wheel Grave are not around, he can only watch the huge arrow pierce through his body in despair. Nagato. Seeing that Nagato's body was directly pierced by the huge arrow, Konan and Yahiko, who had already been stunned by the sudden change in the battle situation, immediately shouted. But it is also at this time. Yep. Yi Lin, who was observing Nagato's situation through his Tenseian, had almost confirmed his victory, but at this time he suddenly saw that an invisible huge energy started to slowly emerge from behind Nagato. And that energy, Yi Lin had seen something similar before. It's very similar to the crumbs of time contained in the dragon veins. This is. So Yi Lin instinctively sensed something was wrong in his heart. But before he even had time to react, Ju, who was covered in darkness, was hooked beside Nagato. In Ju's hand, he is holding an azure crystal. That huge energy is also derived from this crystal. At this time, as the crystal was injected into Zalera, the blue crystal slowly flew up. And in Nagato, the mutation is also happening. The giant holy crossbow bolt, which had completely pierced him and destroyed everything in his body, flew back at this time, and Nagato's body, which had been gradually withdrawn from its vitality, began to slowly recover. What was left by that woman Otsutsugi Kagaya? Seeing that the situation that he had finally succeeded in was changed in this way, Yi Lin was naturally very angry. Self-given, speed, advertisement. But of course Yi Lin is not the kind of person who lets the other party operate without resisting himself. So I saw that along with the speed he gave him, his figure came to the side of the blue crystal in an instant, and he grabbed it directly to prevent the energy from continuing to be released. Then, he rushed straight towards Nagato. Shen Luo Tianzheng. But obviously, Yi Lin's stop was too late. Even if he directly took the blue crystal, Nagato, who had gradually recovered his breath and sobered up at this time, decisively stopped Yi Lin from charging. Nagato, go. At the same time, Ju spoke directly and decisively. That guy is also here, we have no chance. As he spoke, his eyes were fixed on Yi Lin without blinking. In fact, Ju's heart was dripping blood at this time. Of course he knew what that blue crystal was, it was one of the 3 whole cards his mother Otsutsugi Kagaya gave him before it was sealed. And now among these 3 trump cards, the Senluo fruit has been given to Nagato, and now that the blue crystal has been taken away, his heart is naturally distressed. But at the same time, there is nothing he can do. Because after seeing Yi Lin with his own eyes, he can already be sure, of the good king, that this person is the Otsutsuki knight that his mother Otsutsuki Kagaya once told him in the distant past. Therefore, it is absolutely impossible for Nagato to have a real conflict with each other at such a time. After hearing Ju's words, although Nagato was extremely unwilling in his heart, he also knew that Ju was right. The captain of the Gote 13th team, Yamamoto Modonyuzai Shigekuni, was already extremely difficult to deal with, and he warned that another Otsutsuki knight suddenly appeared here, who was also hostile to him. Under such circumstances, Nagato must admit that no matter how unwilling he is, if he continues to fight, he will surely die. So, buzz. With Nagato's hands lightly nodded, Obito's figure also re-rhymes with Nagato's side. Mangekyo's ability Kamui activates, and the figures of the members of Akatsuki are slowly being sucked into the different space. Chapter 129 Otsutsuki Knight, the weakest among the 5 elders. 1/4, please subscribe. It has to be said that Obito's Mangekyo ability may not be regarded as a concubine in itself, but the ability to use his ability, Kamui, to escape is really abnormal. At least even Yi Lin didn't have any solution for Kamui's retreat method of directly twisting the space. Until now, he has not had the same ability to directly manipulate the space. So at this time, in his heart, he could only sigh and feel helpless. His arrangement and ambush this time can be described as exquisite. First, he used the Yamamoto Yuanyujai puppet to attract Nagato's attention and all the Wheel Tomb clones and the Truth-Seeking Ball, and then opened the Yuhabak temporary puppet material. Conduct a sneak attack. But even so, he still failed to kill Nagato because of the whole card left by Kagaya. And Yi Lin also knew that after this time, it would not be so easy to find such a perfect opportunity next time. But the only thing that makes Yi Lin a little bit fortunate is that after this incident, Nagato must have recognized the terrible power possessed by Jingling and the world government. In this way, at least in a short period of time, Shao organization will definitely not dare to act too high profile and overbearing. Thinking of this, Yi Lin also turned his attention slightly to the people in the ninja world below. It's true that Shao organized everyone to leave now, but naturally his play had to come to an end. On the other hand, everyone in the ninja world was still in shock at this time. From Otsutsuki Knights hooking to Akatsuki's organization of the retreat of everyone, the time to gather together is only a very short time. So at this time, the brains of all of you are still crazy brainstorming. Since they did not know the existence of the Wheel Tomb clone, they were completely incomprehensible to the intrigue between Yi Lin and Nagato. The picture they saw was very simple. Nagato sent a few truth-seeking balls to Yamamoto Yuanyujai, and then he was attacked by a mysterious man who suddenly appeared, and was almost dead, and then he was rescued by a sudden rescue. After living, I chose to retreat directly. The key is that this mysterious man is unknown to others, but Jiraiya who has seen him recognizes him at a glance. Minato, Sarubi-sensei. That guy, is the Otsutsuki knight who attacked the village before. And when Jiraiya informed Minato and Hiruzen Sarutobi of the news, the hearts of all the senior ninjas present became extremely heavy on the spot. Until now, the ninja world is ignorant of the surname, Otsutsuki, and the existence of Tenseigin. The only thing they know is that, Otsutsuki Knight, is one of the 5 elders of the world government. Advertisement. Therefore, although Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiizaki, who had seen the tragic situation of Konoha with their own eyes, have already overestimated the strength of the mysterious 5 elders. But they didn't expect that the opponent's strength would actually reach this level. Because judging from Otsutsuki's previous shot against Nagato and Nagato's apparent fear of sales, this Otsutsuki's strength. That guy, 6 paths class. Sarutobi Hiizaki gritted his teeth.
Although it was only a brand new power level that Ninja World had just learned about not long ago, all the senior Ninja World leaders did not hesitate to classify Otsutsugi into this level of police. And everyone in the Ninja World who witnessed the battle between Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni and Nagato beforehand also knows that this level is equivalent to irresistible for them. As a result, the Konoha crowd was also somewhat silent at this time. The enemy who attacked the village turned out to be a powerhouse of this level, which was undoubtedly a very bad signal for them. But it is also at this time Otsutsuki night. All the ninjas heard the words of Yamamoto Genyuzai Shigekuni. The Mary Joa who didn't stay with you, actually AGCG, came to my Jingling court, you crossed the line. His words were a little cautious and indifferent, and from his words, it was obvious that he was an old acquaintance with the 5 elders in front of him. From Yamamoto's words, the ninjas can also roughly hear a key problem, that is, there seems to be some kind of secret agreement between Jingling and the world government. Only in this way, Yamamoto Genyuzai Shigekuni will say, you crossed the line. Such words. Isn't it out of bounds? You are an old friend. 99. But after hearing the words of Yamamoto Yuanyuzai Shigekuni, the mysterious Otsutsuki knight just said so. His expression and face were hidden by Zara's feather clothes, so he couldn't show his anger. I saw my old friend being attacked, so I was so angry that I just came in to help. 99. Although he said so, there was no sense of intimacy of an old friend in his words. Even the high-level ninjas below can basically be sure that the other party is not so much coming in to help, but more likely to see Jingling being attacked and want to come in to find out. It's no use talking too much. Advertisement. The last seat of the 5 elders dares to come to Jingling court to make noise. 33. And Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni obviously knew this, so Ryujin Jaka in his hand also began to ignite a scorching fire with his anger. However, the brief exchange between him and Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni made the hearts of everyone in the ninja world mixed. Is he just the weakest of the 5 elders? 99. The Knight of Otsutsuki is only the last seat of the 5 elders.
However, after all, I also got something good this time. I won't fight you. Because from this brief exchange, they can already hear a lot of information. While saying such words, behind Otsutsuki Yi, a space channel was instantly hooked. You guy, your temper is still so big. The first point is that Otsutsuki Yi is indeed at the 6 pads level, but he seems to be a little weaker than Yamamoto Genyuzai Shigekuni. With such slanderous words in his mouth, the 5 elders are obviously very sensible. And Otsutsuki shook his head slightly after seeing this. And most importantly, the third point. And until this time, the chilling atmosphere in the entire Jingling court finally dissipated a little. The second point, Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni seems to still have spare strength in the previous battle. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Everyone is at 6 pads level, but what if you're a little bit stronger than me? That powerful Spirit King is not in Jingling court now. Even if you completely liberate your sword, it is impossible to keep me. What if it's just me who came here? Then, he stepped into the passage and disappeared. Chapter 130 Add block to Shao Organization, 2 quarters, please subscribe. The senior members of the ninja world felt a little hurt in their hearts. Otsutsuki is only the weakest of the 5 elders, what is the concept? According to the thoughts of the senior leaders of the ninja world, the 6 pads level is undoubtedly the level of Sage of 6 pads, the creator god of the ninja world. This level of police does not say that the entire ninja world is tied together, but it is absolutely as simple as drinking soup to slaughter a ninja village alone. In fact, they can also see this from the momentum when Nagato and Yamamoto Yuanyuji played against each other before. Whether it is Nagato or Yamamoto Yuanyuji Chongguo, once he goes to any one of the 5 major ninja villages, it must be irresistible. However, even the powerhouses of the 6 pads level are only absent among the 5 elders. As strong as him, there are at least 4 people in the world government. Add in the known 7 warlords of the sea and possibly armies, and what an exaggeration. In contrast, Jingling, which is obviously of the same level of power as world government, must have equal or even stronger strength. Yamamoto Genyuzai Shigekuni seems to be the strongest among the known 6 pads level powerhouses. 1. But even so, Jingling's ability to lie down is not all. From the previous battles, they can probably see a sign. Among the 3 6 pads level powerhouses that have appeared now, Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni, the captain of the 13th team of the Guardian, seems to be the strongest. According to Otsutsuki's own admission, the captain seemed to be able to defeat him directly with all his strength, but he couldn't kill him. But even so, the senior ninjas still don't think that one Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni can compete with the remaining 4 stronger 5 elders. So in other words, what they have seen so far is still not the full strength of Jingling. However, it is clear that the brainstorming in the hearts of the high-level ninja world cannot last for too long. Because at this time, Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni had already descended from the sky, and the other captains of the Gote 13 team also came to them. So the high-level ninjas in the ninja world also felt a chill in their hearts. Advertisement. They also suddenly remembered at this time, it seems that their current situation is not very good. Although they were completely unaware of the subsequent discovery of Shao's organization, Obito was actually the one who brought them into Jingling court after all.
From this point of view, Jingling is undoubtedly a real victim. In this battle, although the personnel of the 13th team of Gote showed great strength and did not cause any loss of personnel, the damage to buildings and properties was visible to them. Ask yourself, if they were replaced by Jingling, then they must be full of anger at this time, even if they directly attacked them, it would not be strange. However, what comforted everyone in the ninja world was that Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni did not directly persuade them after he came forward. Everyone in the ninja world, do you know anything about the organization calling itself Akatsuki that invaded my Jingling court this time, as people in the ninja world? Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni's words could almost be regarded as questioning, but this attitude also made everyone in the ninja world feel very reasonable. After all, he kindly invited people from the ninja world to Jingling as a guest, but as a result, there were traitors in the opponent's team. Anyone who changed this kind of thing had to be angry. After hearing Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni's inquiry, everyone in the ninja world quickly turned their attention to the people from Konoha. No way, it is true that the members of the Shao organization in Yongxian this time are indeed inextricably linked with Konoha. Needless to say, Uchiha Obito is a member of the Konoha Uchiha clan. Zang, Konoha's betrayal, and it hasn't been long since he just defected. Even the previously little-known Nagato trio clearly showed an unusual relationship with Jiraiya. In this way, it is no wonder that others will focus on the Konoha crowd. And after everyone's attention shifted to Konoha's side, Sarutobi Hiizaki on Konoha's side also roughly explained the matter of Obito and Zang. As for Jiraiya, it is the matter of the Nagato three people, said Hook. Other shinobi villages have little interest in Obito and Zang. After all, Zangbin is a rebel, and Obito was kidnapped, and from the previous situation, it can be seen that the state is obviously abnormal. On the contrary, after hearing that the Land of Rain actually had such a young man with eyes of reincarnation before, they each became thoughtful. Because from Jiraiya's words, they are also easy to associate with one thing, that is the four emperors, Kaido, who was said to have killed Hanzo of the Salamander before, and the only time so far has happened in the Land of Rain. Advertisement. 0. For flowers. Could it be that the reason why Kaido, one of the four emperors, is now in the ninja world is because of the Eye of Reincarnation? Of course, he could take advantage of this opportunity to attack directly, and maybe he could use Jingling's identity to make a lot of compensation from the big ninja villages. After all, even the fools can see that the ninja world obviously doesn't want to offend Jingling. But in the end, Yi Lin did not choose to do so. Especially the existence of Nagato gave him some headaches. If the old man's guess is correct, then the purpose of Shao's organization should be related to the tailed beast. I, Jingling, have never been in contact with the ninja world, and I don't know much about the ninja world. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. At the same time as setting the tone, Yi Lin, who manipulated Yamamoto's puppet of Yuanyuji's heavy country, was also thinking in his heart. Although after this time, Yi believes that Nagato should not have any major special police actions in a short period of time, and it will not directly set off a war in the ninja world, but he also knows, Shao organizes the original intention of collecting tailed beasts shouldn't change. At this time, the captain of the 13th team of the Guardians seems to have accepted the explanation of the people in Konoha, and at this time, he is also looking at the people in the Lu Ninja world. In this case, this old man will temporarily believe the guests of the ninja world in this incident. It doesn't matter. 0. After all, in terms of his current strength, the 5 great ninja villages can no longer be considered a threat. But the old man once heard from the Lord Spirit King that the 9 tails beast in the ninja world is the key left by the sage of 6 paths brothers to seal the 10 tails. With the power of the Eye of Reincarnation, they can wake up the monsters on the moon. Ghetto statue. While everyone in the ninja world was thinking like this, Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni continued to speak. However, due to the issue of the vest on the bright side, Yi Lin couldn't directly inform the other party of everything Shao organized through Yamamoto Yuanyuji Chonguo. Quote. Therefore, now the 5 great ninja village and Yi Lin are equivalent to the fact that they are on the same side. Naturally, he will not intentionally weaken the power of the 5 great ninja village. However, Yi Lin didn't mind adding another way to block the Shao organization. Because, this time, the strength shown by the Akatsuki organization is indeed much stronger than the original. Chapter 131 Is this the Spirit King? 3/4, please subscribe. It has to be said that the remarks by Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni are actually just out of line. But it was just such an indistinct statement, which instantly made the major ninja villages pay attention. Because of the words of Yamamoto Genyuzai Shigekuni, he said, tailed beast. And for several big ninja villages, at the moment when the situation in the ninja world is changing, the tailed beast is definitely their top priority. Therefore, as soon as they heard that the purpose of Shao's organization might involve the tailed beast, their nerves immediately tightened. In particular, there are some things in Yamamoto Yuanyuji's words that they have never heard of. The amount of information contained in this news and the secrets of the ninja world are even more shocking than the previous 6 paths level powerhouses. After all, whether it is Jingling or world government, it is actually a completely new field for them. In this brand new unknown field, no matter what happens to Qin's current, Sanchichi, it is acceptable to them. This is commonly known as unknown. 0. But now what Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni is talking about is obviously not this new field, but the ancient secrets of their ninja world themselves. Brother Sage of Six Paths. Does Sage of Six Paths have an older brother or younger brother? What are 10 tails? Ghetto statue on the moon. So for a while, they even wished to immediately grab the captain of the 13th guarding squad in front of them, and then question the other party about the whole story. However, it's really hard for them to ask questions right now. After all, it wasn't long before they found the traitor to attract Xiao's organization, and now the relationship between the two sides is still a bit awkward. And they also know that now they need a solution more than to investigate the secret information of these ancient times. Because if what Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni said is true, and the purpose of Akatsuki's organization really lies in the tailed beasts of their 5 major ninja villages, then are we going to stop that guy from robbing the village's tailed beast? Thinking of the terrifying strength that Nagato had displayed before, several shadows couldn't help but feel a heavy weight in their hearts. To stop an organization led by a 6 paths level powerhouse, they feel a little hard to breathe just thinking about it. However, at this time, Namikaze Minato, the youngest among all the cage level powerhouses, reacted first. Advertisement. The powerhouses of the 6 paths level, with their current strength, are really hopeless. However, isn't there a significantly stronger 6 paths level powerhouse in front of him? I wonder if Your Excellency the Captain, is there any way to deal with Xiao organization? Namikaze Minato spoke directly to Yamamoto Genyazai Shigekuni. After hearing Namikaze Minato's words, the eyes of the other actors also lit up. However, Yamamoto Yuanyujai Chonguo shook his head at this time. The organization named Xiao attacked Jingling, and this old man will naturally be the king of rewards and settle with them in the future. But right now, the virtual circle is about to be broken, but the old man can't get out of it. His words rhyme, all the shadows suddenly woke up like a dream. At this time, they suddenly remembered that before the attack of Akatsuki's organization, they had been discussing the Hueco Mundo seal with Yamamoto Genyazai Shigekuni. So at this time, you guys quickly turned the conversation back to the previous question. Your Excellency, Captain, as we said before, the matter of Hueco Mundo is not just your family's business. 39. If that kind of monster breaks through the seal, it will also be a disaster for us in the ninja world, so we hope to help strengthen His Majesty the Spirit King's seal on Hueco Mundo in the past. Onogi, who was speaking, was also extremely sincere and familiar at this time. Although they chose to visit here on their own initiative, there are various reasons such as request for the body of the father, to listen to information, judging the strength and purpose of Jingling, etc., and things like the invasion of the Akatsuki organization also happened in the middle. A lot of information they had never heard of before. But at the end of the day, their original and most important purpose in coming here was to solve the Hueco Mundo problem. Just like I said before, that terrifying place that hides an army of countless giants only needs to continue to be at risk, and they can't sleep or eat. Have a look. Hearing Onogi's re-examination of the old story, Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni also pondered, as if he was still hesitating. And the high-level ninjas in the ninja world couldn't help but feel anxious after seeing Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni's attitude. They also knew that with Jingling's usual arrogance, it is very likely that they would not accept their proposal. But it is also at this time. From above the sky of Jingling Court, a majestic and clear voice resounded through the clouds. At the moment when they heard this voice, the senior ninjas also saw that all the captains of the Gote 13 team, including Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni, showed serious and respectful expressions. Advertisement. And this kind of respect, which is almost instinctive, also made the senior ninja world understand the identity of this voice in an instant. Of course, in fact, they have indeed heard this voice in the past. Quote. Spirit King. Sarutobi Hiizaki, who had heard this voice in the past, whispered the other party's name in his heart. The true lord of Jingling Court, even the powerful 6 paths level powerhouses such as Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni condescend to the mysterious existence under his command. Spirit King. As this, the Spirit King. Is it possible? Among them, it is even more incredible to see Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiizaki who have seen the King of Demons with his own eyes. Especially the content of Spirit King's words shocked them even more. They have seen with their own eyes the terrifying power that the King of Ghosts wiped away the Ghost's lair in Nation Spider Mountain with a wave of his hand. But now, when the world is changing, these ninja people really want to seal Hueco Mundo, and we can do it. 11. Because according to King Spirit, the elite Jingling led by him seems to have gained the upper hand in the battle with Hueco Mundo. A few shadows who have been to Hueco Mundo, and have seen the horrors of the giant army also naturally took a breath at this time. The endless army that seems to be able to level the world, how can it still be suppressed? But when the two of them join forces, I still need to sit in Hueco Mundo for a while to stabilize the situation, and the matter of strengthening the seal still needs your side to work hard, and the two sides can continue to succeed. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. The Spirit King described the current situation of Hueco Mundo in a flat voice. Although I shot down the two of them, the battle situation is at an advantage now. The Hueco Mundo thing is more complicated than I expected. Lin and Aizen have a deep relationship and are conspiring to make a certain weapon. According to the King of Spirits, he alone defeated the King of Ghosts, Lin, and the King of Void, Aizen, who had a high probability of being the same level of police as the King of Ghosts. As a result, the ninjas also had a feeling of standing still in the mountains towards the legendary Spirit King who had not met so far. And even if his words were so plain and natural, the high-level ninja world seemed to be able to hear an invincible aura from it. Occupy the advantage, that is, suppress the 2.6 giant army. Chapter 132 The Wall of Double Heaven. Finally it's on. 4 quarters, please subscribe. The Spirit King, who was in the virtual circle, obviously did not have the extra time to communicate with Jingling for a long time, so after a few words fell, the magnificent and clear voice gradually became silent. And Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni also raised his eyes to look at the shadows of the ninja world at this time, and then nodded lightly. Since His Majesty the Spirit King has made a fishing decision, we, the 13th team of the Guardian, will naturally follow it. Since all the guests of the ninja world are willing to help us seal Haweko Mundo, then come with me. After saying this, Yamamoto Genryuzai Shigekuni raised his eyes to the other captains of the surrounding Gote 13 team, then turned around and walked towards the depths of the Gote 13 team headquarters. But it is worth mentioning that the other captains did not go with Yamamoto Genryuzai Shigekuni at this time, but guarded in front of the headquarters of the Gote 13th team. And watching this scene, the hearts of everyone in the ninja world couldn't help but feel a little turbulent. They also know that the place where Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni will take them next, I am afraid that even in this Jingling Palace is a top secret area. Others continue to stay here. Pay attention to the movements of those around you. What happened before must never happen again. Therefore, at this time, Reikage was also very intelligent and took the initiative to give orders. Apart from Lei Yingying, the other Yingying also issued the same order. So in the end, there were only 4 shadows, Terumi Mei, Sarutobi Hiizaki, Jiraiya and a limited number of absolute cronies who followed Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni. Soon, they followed Yamamoto Genryuzai Shigekuni to the end of Gote 13's headquarters. And at the end of this area, there is a huge wall. This place is the Wall of Two Heavens, a strange space created at the seal after His Majesty the Spirit King sealed the virtual circle in the past. Quote. The Wall of Two Heavens is composed of the hardest rock, murderous stone, in the entire Jingling court, which can only be opened by the power of His Majesty the Spirit King. 39. Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni's dull and chilling voice seemed to recall the years of fierce fighting in the past. Hearing Yamamoto Yuanyuji Chonguo, a 6 paths level powerhouse, say this, you could naturally have no doubts. They even seemed a little numb to the matter of the Spirit King creating a different space at will. Afterwards, they saw Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni slowly taking out a seemingly unremarkable talisman from his sleeve. Advertisement. Untie. As his words fell, the wall in front of him shattered. From within the wall, a huge space channel also appeared. So you shadows also naturally know, and then you should see the main topic. And the fact is that it did not exceed their expectations. Let's go. After Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni's calm words, they followed the captain into a different space. But after a while, a scene that was unimaginable before them appeared in front of them. I saw that in this different space, countless silver-white thin lines like stardust were intertwined under the feet. The whole is divided into 2 parts by this silver-white thin line. The upper part is filled with colorful and powerful energy, turning into a pillar of light that is like a miracle. And in the lower half of the light beam suppressed, that is, under the feet of the ninjas, there is a vast land. All the shadows saw the vast silver-white desert below at a glance, so they also knew the origin of the vast land below. Below, Haweko Mundo. 99. So the seniors of the ninja world also suddenly realized. They vaguely remembered the majestic beam of light that looked like a tree of light when they stepped into the Haweko Mundo earlier. Now it seems that the beam of light is probably the one in front of them, and it is also the seal set by the Spirit King. The only difference is that they were in the virtual circle before, but now they are observing Haweko Mundo from a situation close to God's perspective. So at this time, they can also vaguely see that there are countless huge and terrifying monsters constantly colliding with the beam of light around the beam below. Their numbers are like a dark tide with no end in sight. Advertisement. They have huge bodies that are pitch black and building-like, with sluggish and terrifying skeleton masks on their faces. That's Manos Grande, Killian. 11. Yamamoto Genryuzai Shigekuni said softly. The more powerful Manos Grandes have been sent to the front line of our Jingling expedition to fight, and these low-level Manos Grandes are trying to break through the seal of His Majesty the Spirit King. And looking at the terrifying monsters that are constantly hitting the beam of light with their own lives like moths to a flame, and one is turned to ashes and then another one will make up for it, the expressions of the shadows are getting heavier and heavier. At this time, they finally believed that what Yishilang had said before was completely true. The giant army is only a part of the power of the virtual circle. And these terrifying monsters, Haweko, who are not afraid of death are always the true power of Haweko Mundo. And you must know that this vast emptiness like the black tide is still not all. They couldn't even imagine that if it wasn't for the fact that King Ling and Jingling's expedition were fighting against Haweko Mundo, how exaggerated the virtual total of Hueco Mundo would be. They even thought subconsciously, once the seal of Jingling failed and all these monsters escaped from Hueco Mundo, how could they resist? And the answer is simple: no. In the face of this kind of monster that is not afraid of death and has a strong individual, the ninja world built by ninjas for so many years is simply too weak to be worth mentioning. How do we strengthen the seal? Therefore, Sarutobi Hiizan's dry voice was filled with firmness at this time. After seeing this scene with his own eyes, he no longer had any doubts about their idea of helping Jingling strengthen the seal. Not just him, other shadows have the same idea, even if it costs a lot, they must strengthen the seal of Hueco Mundo. And after hearing Hiizan Sarutobi's words, and looking at the firm eyes of the filmmakers, Yi Lin, who was controlling Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni, couldn't help but sigh. He spent so much time designing such a big play, and he finally didn't design it in vain. These guys, they're a good fit. Chapter 133 Flicking Chara, Pulling 10 Tails Tail Change. 1/4, please subscribe. Naturally, Yi Lin's actions always have a purpose. And the reason why he invited the shadows of Shinobi Village to Jingling Court this time, apart from wanting to take advantage of this opportunity to defraud these guys hidden in the shadows to solve the problem, the remaining one is the biggest. The reason is actually for the ninjas themselves. The reason is also very simple, because Yi Lin wants the 10 tails in his hand to wake up again and give birth to a new Senluo fruit. Especially after seeing the effect of Nagato taking the fruit of Senluo, Yi Lin's plan was even more urgent. And the introduction in Fantong also told Xiao Yelan that if 10 tails was to regrow the fruit of the Senluo, then the required condition was life energy, in other words, the ninja's Chirella. But at the same time, Yi Lin also knew that this kind of absorption is not to kill all the ninjas directly and then suck them once. Because Chirella itself is actually a kind of renewable energy. In the original book, the way Kagaya recovered his chakra after his resurrection was to cover all the ninjas. And she did not kill the ninjas, but created an illusory world with infinite Tsukuyomi, making the ninjas think they were actually living in the real world. The ninjas in this state are still alive, and they will continue to produce chara. In this way, Kagaya is equivalent to having a nursery that continuously produces chakra. But obviously, Yi Lin couldn't do that. He didn't have Kagaya's reincarnation Sharingan to open infinite Tsukuyomi. In other words, Yi Lin had to find a way for the ninjas to voluntarily produce chara and then offer sacrifices to him. It is precisely because of this purpose that Yi Linji set up such a huge cheating game. First, through the special puppet realm of Ancestor Road, pretending to be the so-called Hueco Mundo, to attract ninjas to enter, and bring them a huge sense of oppression and crisis with the giant army, and then with the help of Riffin killing art the identity of Shiro invites them to enter the Jingling Court. Although the strength of the Xiao organization was a bit beyond expectations, the final general situation was the same as Yi Lin's prediction, and the effect even became better. The ninjas have clearly lost their composure because they have been stimulated by the giant army of Hueco Mundo, Akatsuki, Jingling and the world government. After confirming this, Yi Linrao chose to bring them here. And the so-called seal that is now placed in front of all the ninjas is actually a fake. In fact, the so-called seal was just a prop that Yi Lin exchanged from the points mall not long ago. Colorful array for counter display. C-level props 500 points. Create a special space for display. All the scenes in the space can be freely defined according to the host's mind. Maintaining this item requires energy consumption. Please note that everything created by this item is false and has no actual attack effect. This item was similar to the puppet recycling custom template that Yi Lin had obtained before. They were all skin-type items that were not of much use in traditional judgments. But for Yi Lin, this thing is simply too good to be fooled. Advertisement. So in fact, now on the bright side, the feet of the high-level ninja world are virtual circles, and there are countless huge killion below 0. But in fact, if Yi Lin removes the item, colorful magic array for counter display, then everyone will find out. What lies beneath their feet is not an empty circle, but the 10 tails with their eyes closed like a giant dead tree. Reinforcing the seal requires life energy, which is what you call chara in the ninja world. At this time, Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni also responded to Sarutobi Hiizan's words in a deep voice. As he spoke, he also raised his hand and waved lightly. Then, a strange, sacrificial seam appeared in front of you shadows. Injecting chara into this Taiwan of two heavens will strengthen the seal. Looking at the strange sacrifice that appeared, Raikage suddenly realized, before you. Well, after we took your father's body, we kept it in this sacrificial tent and sealed it with the remaining chara in his body. However, even if the amount of Charlie in your father's body is already good, he alone is still far from enough to strengthen the seal. 9. Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni nodded. Let's try it. And after hearing the words of Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni, the shadows immediately made up their minds. Of course, they also know the preciousness of chara. After all, they are slowly accumulating babies bit by bit. But compared to the huge crisis that the entire ninja world is facing now, they will naturally not be reluctant to give up such a little chara. Okay. And after Yamamoto Yuanyuji Zonguo nodded and agreed, all the cage-level powerhouses were also ready to go to the sacrifice scene. But it is worth mentioning that at this time, Jiraiya was watching Sarutobi Hiizaki. Teacher Sarutobi, you just. He looked at Sarutobi Hizen, meaning obviously he wanted the other party not to go up. The reason is also very simple because Jiraiya naturally knows that Sarutobi had a Shinigami mark on his body due to the use of the ghoul seal after the battle of Nada Spider Mountain. This mark absorbs part of his chakra every day, so his chakra reserves are really worrying. It doesn't matter, it's about the future of the ninja world. I can still hold on to my old bones. 99. But Sarutobi Hizen shook his head and behaved very calmly. Because with the passage of time, Sarutobi Hizen also found that the speed of the Shinigami mark absorbing his Zerira seems to be gradually slowing down, just like a person who eats too much at first, but slows down as he gradually gets full. The speed of eating is average. Although Sarutobi Hizen didn't know whether this was a good thing or a bad thing, he still had a little bit of energy to give his share of chara. Advertisement. And Jiraiya knew that her teacher had made up her mind after hearing Sarutobi Hizen's words, so she didn't persuade him anymore. So, all of you shadows also went to the sacrificial seam. They formed the ninja seal of chara released, and then their hands slapped the sacrifice seam. Quote. So the next moment, a huge amount of chara instantly gushed out of their bodies. And the chakra rhyme of 7 cage level powerhouses, its power is naturally no trivial matter. Chara of various attributes broke out a huge shock wave almost in a moment, and its power is undoubtedly enough to collapse a small mountain. But at this time, the sacrificial gong seemed to be motionless, and the huge beam of light around it that symbolized the enchantment was shining as before. As expected of the seal set by the Spirit King, it is indeed powerful. 99. But at this time, is it some monster from Hueco Mundo? Although it hasn't been fully opened yet, judging from the almost instinctive roar it made before, this Ten Tails has clearly begun to undergo some changes. All the shadows also heard at the same time, from the bottom of the seal, there was a dull and suffocating strange roar from the endless Hueco Mundo. But they didn't know that Yi Lin himself was wiping sweat in his heart at this time. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. So you all accepted this explanation in an instant. They had seen the giant army in Hueco Mundo, and the terrifying ancestor Ymir Gap with their own eyes, so the existence of such monsters in Hueco Mundo is also true, of course, there is no doubt. But just when everyone, good Zhao Zhao, thought something had happened, they heard Yamamoto Yuanyujai Chongguo's words. Because in his field of vision at this time, the so-called Shuangtian sacrificial seam that the shadows are stepping on is actually the tip of a branch of 10 tails, and what is connected to it is the body of 10 tails. The roar was as deep as thunder, and the enormous power and strange oppression contained in just one roar made all the shadows instinctively know that the one who uttered this roar must be an extremely powerful behemoth. Don't panic, this is the situation of the reinforced seal being noticed by the rats of Hueco Mundo. His eyes, which had been tightly closed since Otsutsugi's death, had slowly opened up at this time. Yi Lin was also a little surprised when he felt the situation under the cover of the counter display with colorful formation. At the same time, they could also feel that chara in their bodies was rushing towards the seal below. At the same time, beneath the shadows, the 10 tails, which the sacrificial gong actually connected to, had already begun to mutate. Roar. FK. And watching this scene, Yu Ying couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Chapter 134 Jingling Ting Ting and Yan Zuo in the Ninja World. Work 2 quarters, please subscribe. Seeing that 10 tails, who slowly began to change with the input of chara from the 7 shadows, was naturally surprised in Yi Lin's heart. Although it seems that 10 tails can make money back by knowing that injecting chara, it is another matter to see 10 tails make money again. However, after careful observation, Yi Lin also found that the situation of 10 tails could not be regarded as a complete recovery. Its original deadwood-like body really began to flow from Zara, but it was far less powerful than the previous Yi Lin had seen when he traveled to the ancient times. And apart from the instinctive growl, 10 Tails' own consciousness has obviously not recovered, and it still maintains a sleeping and dead tree-like posture. Moreover, the position of the fruit of growing forest above 10 Tails' head was still empty at this time. However, Yi Lin was not surprised by this. After all, you must know that Kagaya provides life energy to 10 Tails with the help of the creatures of the whole world. On his side, although the chakra possessed by several shadows is indeed a large number, it is true to say that this chakra is enough to make 10 Tails grow the fruit of Senra again. Dreaming. But Yi Lin is not in a hurry, because he didn't intend to do it overnight. So all of you will see in the next moment that the beam of light that symbolizes the seal in front of them seems to have only become a little brighter after they have injected almost all of their chara. As the soap not enough. Looking at this scene, they can probably guess what the situation is, their chara is obviously not enough to completely repair the seal's deficit. Therefore, they also immediately turned their attention to Lu Yamamoto Yuanyujai Chongguo. Advertisement. At this time, the commander-in-chief also nodded lightly, and what he said also confirmed their conjecture. As you can see, the life energy of 1 or 2 people alone is not enough to completely repair the seal. Since His Majesty the King of Spirit has agreed to your participation in the seal of Hueco Mundo, then this old man hopes you will send a group of ninjas to my Jingling court to assist in the seal in the future on a monthly basis. Every time it is sealed, I, Jingling, will send Shinigami to the ninja world to pick him up like this time, and every time the seal is sealed, the old man will be there to ensure safety. Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni's words fell, and then several high-level ninjas AGCG were naturally taken aback. Then, there was a huge joy in their expressions. At first glance, Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni's words seemed inappropriate. After all, sending a group of ninjas to Jingling every month to sacrifice chakra to strengthen the seal does not seem to do them any good. But as the real rulers of the ninja world, their views are completely different. Because after Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shigekuni said this, he undoubtedly said, Jingling is willing to start a long and regular question with the ninja world. You must know that although it is a bit unpleasant to send ninjas to spot check Lila every month, in fact, with this constant exchange, the understanding between the two sides will inevitably deepen. As long as the ninja world works hard to develop, the relationship between the two sides may even further develop into an alliance in the future. And even if Jingling is reluctant to form an alliance, but as long as there are more interactions between the two sides, if there is any trouble in the ninja world, Jingling can't just ignore it, right? And this, for the senior ninjas who are extremely afraid of the Shao organization and the world government, is undoubtedly the key to the key. In the face of the confusing situation in the whole world, a strong and conservative pillar force like Jingling is undoubtedly the most worthy of them to win over. Of course, what the commander-in-chief said is true. If possible, we also hope that you can often send envoys to the ninja world as guests. No matter which ninja village, they will surely welcome you. 33. Advertisement. So at this time, after the shadows looked at each other, they responded quite tacitly. After the big bosses initially set the tone for the questioning of Ninja World and Jingling, in the following days, the first questioning of the two sides gradually started. Several shadows let the guard ninjas who came with them enter the wall of the double sky in batches, and injected Zara to strengthen the seal of Hueco Mundo, which also made some people who didn't know Hueco Mundo terrifying before. Ninjas get a good look at the terrifying threats they face. And their plan was indeed quite successful. Most of the ninjas who had never seen Hueco Mundo before, after seeing the terrifying huge black tide below the seal, they were really excited in their hearts. Horror and urgency. In addition, this time, these ninjas without exception witnessed the terrifying scene of the 3 6 paths level powerhouses hooking their hands, which is undoubtedly a spiritual shock for these guard ninjas. Under the intertwining of the two, some of the guard ninjas have undergone a spiritual transformation. Of course, the cage-level powerhouses in the ninja world can also notice this, so they secretly made up their minds. But all the guard ninjas who participated in the operation this time must invest resources to focus on training after returning to the ninja village. After all, for the current turbulent ninja world, every strong person in every ninja village may be the key to the survival of the village in the future. And that is, after this situation continued for a week, as this group of ninjas put almost all their chara into the seal without exception, the senior ninjas of the ninja world also led the ninjas who were drained, leaving Jingling. And the shadows, as always, did not return to their ninja village, but directly went back to the Ninja World Association headquarters in the Iron Country, and began to discuss a series of key points of this trip to Jingling Court. Question. Regardless of the existence of the Akatsuki organization and how to deal with it, how will the next question with Jingling be carried out, including the strength analysis of the 6 paths level powerhouse, and the 4 emperors and world mentioned by Yamamoto Yuanyuji this time? Possible government changes. There is no doubt that any of these information is enough to cause an uproar within the Ninja Federation Association. And the discussion about these things also made the filmmakers almost so busy that they didn't even have time to sleep for the next month. But it was during this time that Yi Lin, who was the trigger for all events, had no time to manage how busy the filmmakers were. Because at this time, Yi Lin is also facing a very important news. Chapter 135. Who are those eyes? 3/4. Please subscribe. In all fairness, Yi Lin's plan this time was undoubtedly a complete success. He successfully fooled the ninjas in the entire ninja world to provide him with chara, which made it possible for the 10 tails he had to grow gradually. This is almost equivalent to opening a road to the top for Yi Lin. But at the same time, this time, Yi Lin couldn't help but feel a little anxious in his heart. As for the reason, it is still because of Nagato. He knew very well that after this setback, the 2 6 paths level powerhouses he set up as Otsutsugi Yi and Yamamoto Yuanyuji Shogun were relatively stable. Therefore, in the next period of time, Shao organization is afraid of the existence of these 2 powerhouses, and will inevitably choose to dormant, at least not choose to make any big moves. But, even though the Akatsuki organization has been salted, there will always be a time to reappear. And according to Yi Lin's previous style, he wouldn't care about these things at all. Because as long as he develops smoothly, when the enemy reappears after a period of sequestration, it is no longer possible to threaten him. But now, Yi Lin suddenly found that the situation seemed to have changed. Because even if he was given more time to develop, he couldn't seem to find a way to truly defeat the Shao organization in a short period of time. After all, to defeat Akatsuki, you must defeat Nagato, and Nagato is a SSS level powerhouse with no moisture. On the other hand, among the characters he set up, Otsutsugi Yi, still has one chance to use it, and Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni is even more unable to leave the puppet realm of Jingling. Therefore, what Yi Lin urgently needs now is a real SSS-level combat power. Only with a truly unrestricted SSS-level puppet, his heart can be regarded as bottomless. And this is exactly what has been the most troublesome point for him before. It goes without saying how rare SSS-level powerhouses are. Previously, Yi Lin traveled back in time to the ancient times, and then killed Otsutsugi with Kagaya. That situation was pure luck and coincidence, and it was almost impossible to replicate. But in the current ninja world, it is more difficult for him to get a SSS puppet material than to reach the sky. It was also when Yi Lin felt a deep headache that an important news had already arrived. The news comes from Zale Aporo, a scientist from Hawako Mundo, who has devoted most of his time to research, except for his pretentious appearance in the so-called Hawako Mundo middle. The content of his research is the cell of the Mangekyo Sharingan and first generation of Fugaku. But the key is that, not long ago, Zale Aporo sent back the news through the link with Yi Lin, that is, the experiment has finally made a breakthrough. The reason for the breakthrough came from the S-level puppet material, the crumbs of time, that Yi Lin had brought before. This puppet material obtained from the power of the dragon vein was not used by Yi Lin to directly extract it into an S-rank puppet before. Advertisement. But because it happened to be very compatible with the time ability of Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan, he handed it over to Zale Aporo for research. And now, the experimental breakthrough also lies here. Sure enough, in the laboratory of the secret underground facility in Grass Ninja Village, Yi Lin, whose consciousness descended on the puppet of Zale Aporo, frowned while sorting out the research information of Zale Aporo in his mind. According to the research results in Shiel Aporo's mind, after Uchiha Fugaku's Sharingan is connected with the power of time contained in the time, its pupil power also increases as expected. Although there is still a long way to go from this pupil power growth to Mangekyo, it is enough to show that Zale Aporo's guess was correct. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can indeed be obtained by means other than absorbing the pupil power of relatives. Time-related abilities. Wait, it was precisely because of this confirmation that Yi Lin immediately remembered something very important. He raised his hand slightly, and then he also took out an azure blue strange vigilance. That's not true, it was the blue strange crystal he snatched from Ju's hand not long ago. It is worth mentioning that Yi Lin had not had time to pay attention to this thing because he was busy dealing with the questions from the high-level ninja world. And now, open black lens bracket eternal crystal close black lens bracket. SS plus level props. The flow of time will also be intercepted under absolute power. The special materials containing a lot of time power extracted by ninjutsu in time and space can be extracted as integral and puppet materials. Really? And after seeing the information of the hook displayed by this crystal in Fantong, Yi Lin also secretly said, sure enough. When he had never used this vigilance to resurrect Nagato, who was almost dying, he had already guessed that the effect of this crystal had something to do with time. And now it seems that his idea is indeed correct. This item called Eternal Crystal is obviously a plus version of the scrap of time. This thing, Kagaya extracted the rhyme and gave it to Ju. 99. As for the origin of this crystal, Yi Lin naturally almost guessed the truth in his heart. After all, it is very clear in the introduction of Fantong that this thing is the power of time forcibly intercepted by a powerful being ninjutsu in time and space. In Yi Lin's cognition, with the existence of this level of power, the entire Hokage world may only have Kagaya. The fruit of Senluo, and this crystal. I don't know how much Kagaya left Ju to deal with me. While murmuring in a low voice, Yi Lin didn't think deeply about it. After all, what was left of Kagaya, he obviously couldn't guess just by guessing. Advertisement. 0. Ask for flowers. So at this time, Yi Lin then tried to manipulate the Zale Aporo puppet to start extracting the crumbs of time, by the method before, trying to hook the power of time in the eternal crystal, in front of him. And as Zale Aporo poured his own power into the eternal crystal, the strange blue energy also slowly condensed and reluctantly from the crystal. That is the source and essence of all time and space ninjutsu, the ubiquitous time. With the extraction of the power of time, which symbolizes the flow of time, Yi Lin also felt that his consciousness seemed to be caught in a torrent of endless spreading and never ending. However, Yi Lin was not surprised because in Zale Aporo's research materials, a similar thing had already happened when the power of time in the crumbs of time was extracted. According to Shiel Aporo's speculation, it is the short-term time disorder caused by the direct inquiry of the power of time in the present world. So Yi Lin was not flustered, but felt this strange state with great interest. At this time, an unprecedented fear instantly rose in his heart. And Yi Lin knows that this is the greatness of time. There is no doubt that time is one of the forces that looks at the heavens and the world and belongs to the supreme realm. Who are those eyes? Who? Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. So Yi Lin also saw the truth of the two golden light spots. Its overall appearance is like a reincarnation eye, a fusion of Tenseian and Sharingan, and at this time, the owner of these eyes seems to have seen Yi Lin across the endless time. But at this very moment, the last picture flashed in Yi Lin's mind, and the flashing picture was originally extremely blurry, and only faintly there seemed to be two golden light spots in it. That is a pair of eyes. Double presenting hook golden, ruthless insensitivity eyes. This feeling is similar to when he fell into the power of the dragon vein before, but it is different. The previous time when the power of the dragon vein was swallowed by his body directly into the power of the dragon vein to travel through time and space, but this time he is more like an observer on the timeline. He who lives in the now cannot understand the future, so he can't see or remember. But just a moment later, this strange picture has dissipated, and Yi Lin is also awake. Accompanied by the two golden light spots suddenly flashing bright light, the blurry and difficult to remember picture suddenly became clear at this moment. But it is also at this time. Buzz. Countless pictures flickered in his mind, but every picture without exception could not be clearly seen or remembered. Chapter 136. The Eye of Reincarnation is born. The chance to get an X-level puppet. 4 quarters, please subscribe. There is no doubt that Yi Lin, even an immortal, would not have expected such a strange thing to happen suddenly. At this time, a coolness rose out of thin air in his mind. The state he just went around was obviously in some kind of time-space disorder, and what he saw was obviously the future. But the key is that the owner of those eyes seems to have seen him from the future. Not Otsutsugi Kagaya, and Yi Lin can be sure that the other party is definitely not Otsutsugi Kagaya. So here comes the question. Who is the other party? What do those eyes like Samsara, Tensai and Sharingan's inquiring eyes symbolize? But obviously, these questions cannot be answered by Yi Lin now. So even though he knew in his heart that this matter might be of great importance, Yi Lin could only keep it secretly, 377, in his heart. Then, he turned his eyes to the azure time energy in front of him. Call. Taking a deep breath, Yi Lin also focused his attention on the experiment. He manipulated the Zael Aporo puppet but raised his hand slightly, and then a bottle was hooked in his hand. In the bottle, it is Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan. And as the huge blue time energy is integrated into the Mangekyo Sharingan, Yi Lin can also clearly feel that Fugaku's pair of Mangekyo Sharingan has really begun to transform. In his eyes, the original red and black text began to stretch 4 vertical lines again out of thin air. The vertical line is hooked up with the pupil, making its eyes look like a clock. After seeing this scene, Yi Lin also naturally understood, this pair of Mangekyo has successfully evolved into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. However, this is just the beginning for Yi Lin. Continuing to manipulate the Zael Aporo puppet, Yi Lin took out a white cell from another experimental bench. It was also the Hashirama cell he had previously obtained. Then, Zael Aporo brought that eternal Mangekyo Sharingan into direct contact with Hashirama cells. 9. And, the moment of hanging. Yi Lin saw that Hashirama cells slowly merged into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Advertisement. In the void, an invisible energy burst out at this moment. Boom. The huge energy fluctuations almost destroyed all the top experimental equipment in the ninja world in an instant, and the huge shock wave even continued to spread and roar throughout the entire underground facility. But at this time, Zael Aporo was looking at the Mangekyo Sharingan slowly floating in the air without blinking. I saw at this time, the pattern of the Mangekyo Sharingan that had just changed. It has changed once again. The clock-like pattern gradually disappeared, replaced by round after round of blue circles. Just a moment later, these eyes have turned into a pair of blue reincarnation eyes. It's done. And seeing that round eye slowly forming, Yi Lin couldn't help but feel a surge of emotion at this time. After all this long research, it was not in vain. He did research a way to make Mangekyo evolve into Samsara Eye. Although this method is almost unrepeatable, for Yi Lin, this is enough. Congratulations to host, get the SS level puppet material, Reincarnation Eye. At the same time, the news from Fantong also made Yi Lin secretly think in his heart. Sure enough, the one round eyes are the same as Tensaizen, and they are all SS level puppet materials. But it is clear that Yi Lin does not intend to use this thing to directly extract. Tantong, I want to use the Eternal Enhancement Coupon. 99 inches. 0. On the contrary, Yi Lin's plan was to directly use the last chance to use the Eternal Enhancement Coupon. But, detected that the host's skill, Tenshungyan, conflicts with the puppet material. If the host uses the Eternal Enhancement Coupon, you can only use one of the puppet materials, Reincarnation Eye, and Tenranyan, at the same time. As the system's prompt sounded again, Yi Lin's brows instantly froze. There is a conflict. Advertisement. Of course he didn't expect this to happen. Because he knows very well that although the so-called Samsara and Tenseigan are nominally subordinate to Sage of Six Paths Otsutsuki Hagoromo and his younger brother Otsutsuki Hamura. But in fact, the essence of the strength of both parties comes from their mother Otsutsuki Kagaya. Therefore, he never considered that there would be a conflict between these two kinds of eyes. No. Not so much a conflict, it should be that Kagaya itself is special. Yi Linai raised her brows, thinking to herself. But at this moment, what made him even more unexpected was that the complicated reminders were not over yet. Congratulations to host, successfully activated the special achievement, the Eye of the Supreme, in this world. Open black lens bracket Supreme Eye close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket special achievements in this world close black lens bracket. Achievement goal. At the same time, obtain, Tenshunyan, 11, Wheel Eye, 11, Immortal Body, 0/1, Ripe Senra Fruit 0/1. Achievement Reward. 1. SSS Level Puppet Material, Reincarnation I. 2. Random SSS Level and Above Puppets Props. FK. And if Yi Lin was surprised by the previous reminder that there was a conflict between the Samsara Eye and Tenseigan, then the activation of this special achievement was undoubtedly a shock to him. The achievement itself is unique. In fact, this is the first time Yi Lin has activated a special achievement on the world of Hokage itself. As for the reward of this achievement, Yi Lin almost jumped up on the spot. The first reward is an SSS level puppet material. This 2.6 is already an extremely exaggerated reward. Not to mention the second reward, which almost made Yi Lin's eyes go wild. Random SSS level puppets and props are already extremely precious, and the key lies in the word, above. Just this word is enough to explain the fact that Yi Lin's breathing becomes rapid. That is this achievement. If he can complete it, Yi Lin even has a chance to obtain X-level props or puppets. As for the concept of X-level, although Yi Lin has only heard of such a level in the traditional tradition, he can also guess how strong the rhyme is from its evaluation alone. X-level, in the traditional meaning, is beyond the limit of the world frame. In other words, in this world, an X-level puppet is equivalent to absolutely invincible. Chapter 137 The Source of the Puppet. 14. Please subscribe. It's a great achievement. Yi Lin was undoubtedly excited when he first saw the possibility of X-level puppets and props. However, he also announced this special achievement. Although it seems that he has already completed half of it, in fact it does not seem to be the case. Because among the 4 items needed to complete the achievement, Immortal Body, he still has no clue about this item so far. He could probably have 2 guesses. First, this Immortal Body, as he guessed before, has all the 7 attributes of fire, earth, thunder, water, wind, yin, and yang, chara, thus activating the physique of the power of all things, is similar to the natural constitution of the Otsutsugi clan. Second, the body of the immortal, as the name suggests, is the power of immortals. In other words, it is the sage mode circulated in the 3 immortal lands that have always existed in the Hokage world. This kind of special fighting method, which naturally uses energy as its own chara, is obviously an extremely high-level power. This can be seen from the fact that Sage Jutsu can attack the 6 paths level powerhouses that are almost immune to ninjutsu. Of course, there may be a third possibility in addition to this. That is, the body of the immortal refers to a strong person shared by the 2, such as the flamboyant Hashirama or the future Uzumaki Naruto. But no matter what kind of possibility, the acquisition of the body of the immortal is undoubtedly not easy. Compared with the item, Immortal Body, the origin of another item, Senrao's Fruit, is quite clear to Yi Lin. After all, Yi Lin is actually trying to make 10 tails grow the fruit of Hokusunro again. But at the same time, Yi Lin also knew that although the fruit of Sen Luo hardly needed to be found for him. But to regest it and let it mature, the time required is bound to be an extremely long number. So Yi Lin also quickly made a judgment. It should be almost impossible for him to collect these 2 items in a short period of time. It's kind of annoying. So Yi Lin naturally felt a little annoying. This feeling of seeing Baoshan right in front of you but not being able to take it away is naturally unpleasant. And more importantly, due to the activation of this special achievement, Yi Lin's biggest gain this time, Eye of Reincarnation, became a rather embarrassing puppet material. This thing can't be used on Yi Lin himself. After all, knowing that the Samsara Eye cannot be shared with Tenseigan, Yi Lin can't waste the last precious, eternal enhancement voucher, for this destined improvement. How much strength to strengthen? Advertisement. On the other hand, Yi Lin couldn't use Samsara Eye as an auxiliary material for extracting puppets. Because if he wants to complete a special achievement, he must keep this thing as one of the achievement props. I also wasted a SS level material, Eternal Crystal, this special meow is too pitiful. 93. And when Yi Lin complained about his serious loss this time, the 15-day deadline has arrived, and the traditional points mall has been refreshed. Number of refresh items, 41. At every critical moment, Fantong always surprises Yi Lin, and this time is no exception. Refreshed again, 99. Yi Lin was stunned when he heard this. In the process of negotiating with the ninjas with the help of Yamamoto Yuanyujai's puppet, in fact, nearly a month has passed. And this month, the points mall has been refreshed once. However, the 4 items in the previous refresh were all D-level garbage items without exception. In addition, Yi Lin was busy devoting his chara to all the bosses in the ninja world at that time, so he naturally forgot the specific time. It is precisely because of this that Yi Lin did not expect the refresh of the points mall at this time. At this time, after hearing that the points mall was refreshed, Yi Lin also focused his attention on the points mall. Superman's glasses B-level props 1000 points. Brushing photo album of the Great Elementalist D-class items 100 points. Original puppet. Level puppet 10,000 points. High-end commodity coupon S-class items 5,000 points. And there is no doubt that the 4 items refreshed this time are completely different from the previous one. The first 2 props aside, after all, they are all below A-rank props, and the first prop, Superman's glasses, Yi Lin can roughly guess what effect it is. As for the big elemental drawing photo album, Ye Lin said that he has no interest. Advertisement. Of course, after everything was over, he still planned to buy it and criticize it, so as not to poison the children of the younger generation. Therefore, Yi Lin's eyes soon focused on the following two props. Not to mention the high-end commodity coupons, at first glance it is known that it is related to the points mall itself, plus the S-level score, it was directly included in the category of must-buy by Yi Lin. So the key is actually the third prop. Class, traditional, what does this mean? 9. I have to say that it was the first time he saw this rating in the points mall. You must know that the puppets given by the system before will be graded according to their strength 377. Back to host. This item is a special item in the traditional system, please check the details after purchasing the host. So Yi Lin secretly cursed in his heart. Buy first and then inspect the goods. Isn't this bullying his kind consumer? But the most important thing is that Yi Lin was really curious at this time. He had obtained a lot of points from the Otsutsugi style before, and the subsequent battles also allowed him to obtain a lot of points, so his point reserve at this time has fully reached the category of close to 3W points. In other words, he is now in the mode of being stupid and rich. And although he complained about it, Yi Lin's trust in Fantong was always reliable. Almost all the products in the system were worthy of their prices. So, Tong, I want to buy Superman's glasses, original puppet, and high-end commodity coupon. So Yi Lin didn't think much about it and made a decision directly. Congratulations to host for successfully purchasing B-level props, Superman's glasses, level props, original puppet S-level props, high-end commodity vouchers, a total of 16,000 points are consumed. And with Fantong's response, the three props were immediately hooked in front of Yi Lin. Chapter 138 The SSS level puppet is born. 24. Please subscribe. Looking at the three props in front of Yun now, Yi Lin naturally looked over. Open black lens bracket Superman's glasses close black lens bracket. 600th World, Superman series. B-level props. After wearing, the appearance will change in the eyes of others, and the original appearance cannot be recognized. Really? Looking at this prop, Yi Lin secretly said that it was indeed the effect. And then, he also put away this item. Even though the rank is only B rank, the effect of this item is undoubtedly quite good, and it will be useful sooner or later. The second item that followed was the advanced commodity voucher. Open black lens bracket premium commodity coupon close black lens bracket. S-class props. After use, the probability of hooking up to level 5 or higher products will increase by 10 times when the next point store refreshes. And there is no doubt that this item is of great value to Yi Lin. Judging from the several draws he has experienced in the points mall, although the probability of refreshing high-level items in the points mall is much higher than purely random draws, it is still quite pitiful. Often every 3 refreshes, an item of S rank or higher will be found. And according to the description of this item, after using it, the probability of being able to lay down the item when the points mall is refreshed next time will become extremely considerable according to Yi Lin's estimation. The appearance of an S-level item is almost inevitable. Nice one. So this item was also treasured by Yi Lin, and it was ready to be used when the next point store was refreshed. In the end, Yi Lin turned his attention to Xiao's last item, which was also the item he was most looking forward to. 10,000 points. I hope the police will give me a run for it. Muttering in a low voice, Yi looked at the puppet in front of Lin. It was an ordinary-looking female puppet, it only had a rough human shape, and even the facial features were not condensed in detail, and it even looked slightly infiltrating. Open black lens bracket original puppet close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket level 2 puppet close black lens bracket. Puppet charge. 100%. Puppet welcome. Available. This puppet is a special puppet, which can hold 3 puppet materials at the same time and use the puppet materials to determine its own level and skills. The puppet material in question can be re-extracted at any time. FK. After seeing the introduction about this puppet, Yi Lin was also shocked. Because as a puppet user, Yi Lin knew better than anyone else some of his puppet's flaws. In his opinion, the biggest flaw of the puppet is undoubtedly the irreversibility of the material used for the puppet. For example, Yi Lin has always had Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan on hand. If he uses this as a puppet material for his weakest puppet, he can easily create an S-rank puppet. But the problem is that once Mangekyo Sharingan is used by Yi Lin as a puppet material, it will disappear naturally. However, Yi Lin had to rely on Mangekyo Sharingan to study how to evolve into a reincarnation eye. As a result, Yi Lin would not dare to use Mangekyo Sharingan as a puppet material. But now, this primordial puppet is undoubtedly a SWAT. Using puppet material on him is reversible. Moreover, the level of the puppet itself is actually determined according to the puppet material he accommodates. In other words, as long as the materials given by Yi Lin are enough, this puppet with a level on the bright side can even be DI'd to SSS level by him. Wait, maybe. So Yi Lin's mind also instantly appeared a rather bold idea. Because now, in his hands, there are really 2 extremely advanced things that he didn't dare to use randomly for a while. Tantong, I'm going to use Reincarnation Eye, 10 Tails, and Hahirama Cells as puppet materials and use it on the original puppet. Yi Lin said in a low voice, and his words were also full of excitement. That's right, the 10 Tails and the Eye of Reincarnation in his hand are the key items he needs to complete the special achievement, Eye of the Supreme. Advertisement. And first generation's target cells are also non-reproducible products, which may also be of great use in the future, and he has not dared to use them to strengthen his puppet at will. But now, without this scruple, he can naturally act at will. And more importantly, if he didn't guess wrong, if the three were linked together. The puppet material, Sacred Tree Larva, Samsara Eye, and Hahirama Cell, are being integrated into the original puppet. Ding. It is detected that the puppet is a special puppet, and the puppet material is not consumed. Ding. The fusion question is completed. Congratulations to the host puppet, original puppet, for advancing to the SSS level. Open black lens bracket original puppet close black lens bracket. SSS level puppet. This puppet is a special puppet, which can hold 3 puppet materials at the same time and use the puppet materials to determine its own level and skills. The puppet material fused by the puppet can be re-extracted at any time. Skills. Eye of Reincarnation, Summoning Technique, Truth-Seeking Ball, Immortal Body. Puppet Charge. 100%. Puppet Recovery. Available. As the complicated words fell, Yi Lin also saw that the appearance of the primordial puppet in front of him began to change dramatically. On its originally empty face, extremely delicate facial features began to condense in an instant, and while the complexion was white, its eyes had already turned into azure blue samsara eyes. And behind its beautiful figure, there are dark balls slowly emerging. It is the truth-seeking ball. And on her body, a powerful aura that Yi Lin had felt before also burst out, sweeping everything around in an instant. That is the same power as Nagato before, unique to the 6 Paths level powerhouse. Sure enough. Clear. Just hearing the level of the puppet was enough to make Yi Lin overjoyed. That's right, after Yi Lin copied the process of Obito becoming the 6 Paths level in the original book, with the Reincarnation Eye, Hashirama Cell and 10 Tails Jinchuriki as the puppet material of the primordial puppet. This puppet has also reached the level of Yi Lin's previous thoughts, which is undoubtedly regarded as a legendary level in the current ninja world. 6 Paths level. Chapter 139 Yi Lin's Plan, Xiao's Action. 3/4, please subscribe. For Yi Lin, this encounter is undoubtedly a response to the old saying that one mountain is poor and there is no road, and one village is full of darkness. He had previously muttered that he did not have a long-term stable SSS level combat power, and after such a series of things, he actually got such a real SSS level puppet. This kind of benefit that he had already given up but was inexplicably picked up in the end naturally surprised Yi Lin. But surprises are surprises, but Yi Lin also knows. It's just barely entering the SSS level, it's not that strong. After a little sense of the current state of the primordial puppet, Yi Lin also muttered in a low voice. He had previously manipulated the SSS level puppet of Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni, and he had also fought against Otsutsugi Kagaya with the help of Yuhabok's temporary puppet material and Otsutsuki style, so he naturally understood the power of SSS level. Therefore, Yi Lin can roughly judge the strength of his puppet. Among the 6 Paths level powerhouses he has seen, this puppet's strength is probably the lowest among them, and at most it is about the same level as Nagato. Compared to Yuhabok's power, Kagaya and Aikishi are obviously far behind. However, Yi Lin also predicted this point. After all, his primordial puppet has entered the 6 Paths level, mostly because it can be used as 10 Tails Jinchuriki. But Yi Lin's 10 Tails 377 is an incomplete juvenile after all. It is even weaker than the 10 Tails contained in the original book, which lacks 8 Tails and 9 Tails chakra. Not a lot. And Yi Lin's primordial puppet still has 2 small flaws. The first flaw is that 10 Tails needs to be integrated into the puppet when using it. In other words, if Yi Lin wanted to use the primordial puppet, it would mean that he would lack a piece of the largest mobile power supply he currently had, so the use of other puppets would inevitably be affected. And the second flaw is also due to 10 Tails. You must know that every other month, the ninjas in the ninja world will come to Jingling court to deliver chakra to 10 Tails, and the time required for delivery is about 3 days or so. During these 3 days, Yi Lin was not very good at using primordial puppets, otherwise it would be inappropriate if the ninjas in the ninja world discovered the flaws. But even with these small flaws, Yi Lin couldn't help letting go of a big stone in his heart at this time. With this puppet, and the opportunity to use the Yuhabok puppet material he had left, it meant that even if the Akatsuki organization really had a big move to unify the ninja world, he still had enough to suppress the opponent. Capital. Even Yi Lin had already thought about the identity of this primordial puppet in his heart at this time. Moreover, due to the sudden appearance of this puppet, Yi Lin had a plan in his heart that he had planned to delay for a while to accumulate strength. At this time, he was already ready to act. Looks like it's time to visit Konoha again. It was also when Yi Lin was thinking about his plan. Somewhere in the ninja world, Akatsuki, who has left the village of ninja, is gathering at the secret place where Nagato took the fruit of Senra before. Advertisement. At this time, the 3 members of Nagato and the absolute core members of the 4 Akatsuki organizations gathered here. In addition to the 4, Obito, who was still wearing a mask, was not far away. Quote. Absolutely, it's not enough. At this time, Nagato's complexion also looked a little pale and hideous. My strength is still not strong enough. I can't win either of those two guys, I have to get stronger. Obviously, this trip to Jingling really gave Nagato a huge stimulation as Yi-Lin expected. The repeated bombings of Yamamoto and Otsutsugi have dealt a serious blow to Nagato's self-confidence. And more importantly, Nagato wasn't even the one who was hit this time. Judging from the slightly gloomy expressions of Konan and Yahiko next to them, the setbacks for the two were obviously not small. They had experienced part of the power of the Eye of Reincarnation before, and they naturally knew how powerful Nagato was. But even Nagato like this is still not the opponent of Yamamoto Genyazai Shigekuni and Otsutsugi Ya, or even if it is not a bestseller, I am afraid that Nagato will die there on the spot. This huge sense of gap is also naturally unsustainable in their hearts. No, you're already very strong. It's just that those two guys are a little too weird. 33. I really wanted to tell Nagato that. Because Ju is an old antique who has lived for so many years, for Nagato's current strength level, it is the owner of the reincarnation eye of the Six Paths level. If you look at the ninja world, no matter how you think about it, it should be an invincible existence. But unfortunately, Nagato is really frustrated now, which naturally makes him not know what to say for a while. After a long time, Jushu finally found a reason to ask Shishi. The existence of Otsutsuki has been unimaginably long, and the same is true for the captain of the Gote 13th team. 99. They've existed hundreds of times as long as you, and it's normal that you're not their opponent. And after seeing Nagato's face a little better, he definitely tried to get the topic straight to what he wanted to say. And you know, our real purpose is to complete the power of 10 tails. That can is truly invincible. Strength, more than 10 times stronger than you are now. So Nagato, this is not the time to be discouraged. Collecting tailed beasts is the most important thing for us right now. He said it with sincerity. If he could resurrect the 10 tails, he could ritually free his mother Kagaya from the seal. And even the current Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni and Otsutsuki Yi, in Ju's opinion, are absolutely vulnerable when facing Kagaya. Quote. After hearing Ju's words, Sanshao also calmed down a little from his frustration. But now, we have no way to collect the tailed beasts. The ninja world is likely to have reached some kind of interplay with Jingling, not to mention the whereabouts of one tail and three tails are still there. Advertisement. Camp Konan frowned and said so. 66. Nagato and Yahiko nodded silently after hearing the words. As Konan said, because of this action, their existence has been exposed to the vision of the ninja world, and they have completely offended Jingling. In this way, while the big ninja villages must be prepared for them, the pressure of Jingling also makes Nagato unable to be a real casual fisherman. We don't have enough people right now. Nagato pointed out the key point of the problem. To go to the major shinobi villages to capture the tailed beasts, you must have more members of the organization. Not guys like Zhang, but people who can really be used by us. And Yahiko on the side also nodded at this time. After Nagato's strength has surpassed, this Nagato's small friend naturally gave up the position of the leader of the organization. Well, a guy who has been sealed in the country of Vortex and has lost his body. Start the B plan. Konan and I go to find other S-class rebel ninjas from other ninja villages to be absorbed into the organization. And it was Nagato who spoke most directly. He didn't ask more about the identity of Ju's old friend, but only asked about Ju's purpose. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. And hearing this, Ju's dark face also seemed to flash a strange brilliance. Speaking of which, definitely look at Konan and Yahiko, because you may not believe it, that guy is strong and dangerous. Quote. After hearing Ju's words, Konan and Yahiko frowned. Old friend. 11. Also, with only Nagato's strength, going around with me is the best choice. He whispered. When I was in Jingling, I felt the breath of an old friend. 99. What do you want to say? I want to say. Maybe you and I can go to it and discuss what to do. Ju nodded very directly. Yes, Nagato is a member of the Uzumaki clan, and it just so happens that the guy who seals the letter is also a member of the Uzumaki clan. 99. Speaking of which, a part of his crumbs seems to rest on a certain ninja. He spoke words that Nagato and others couldn't understand. Just you and Nagato. Chapter 140 Otsutsuki Night, he is here again. 4 quarters, please subscribe. Ninja World, Konoha. For the ordinary people of Konoha, they naturally do not know what happened in the ninja world in this short period of time, whether it is Hawako Mundo, Jingling, or the existence of the Akatsuki organization, for them words are top secret. So at this time, they are even happy. Because since the establishment of the Ninja World Association, there has been little third Hokage Sarutobi who has returned to Konoha. This time, he came with 4th Hokage and others, Konoha. As for the old Hokage, who has been in charge of Konoha since the Second Ninja World War, the people naturally trust him, so they are quite enthusiastic about his rare return to the village. But it is clear that neither Sarutobi Hiruzen nor Namikaze Minato has time to enjoy the rare joy of returning to the village. Because at this time, they still bear a considerable burden. At this time, the senior members of Konoha were also having a heated discussion in the conference room. The selection and rotation of personnel must be available within 3 days. Sarutobi Hiizaki, who has rarely returned to the village to participate in the meeting recently, is also talking. But at this time, the face of the former Hokage is also very tired. Not long ago, they had been discussing for nearly a month at the headquarters of the Ninja World Association. And the content of the discussion is naturally about the questioning with Jingling. The Ninja World must send a group of ninjas to Jingling every month to strengthen the seal of Hawako Mundo with Chara. This evenly distributes the share of ninjas, and naturally each ninja village has to discuss it separately. In addition, there is a very critical issue about some news obtained in Jingling. For example, Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, seems to have moved his old lair, an island called Oni Island, toward the Ninja World. In this way, several ninja villages whose borders rely on the ocean naturally need to pay attention to this, and it is necessary to increase the survey and confirmation of the coastline. In addition, regarding the Akatsuki organization, a mysterious organization that seems to have ideas for tailed beasts, the 5 major ninja villages naturally need to send enough people. So in this way, even if it is assigned to each ninja village, there are still many things that need to be signed and discussed. Advertisement. And Sarutobi Hiizaki returned to the village this time, mainly for these things. The ninjas going to Jingling need experienced people to lead the team, and they also need a group of mission members. Without offending Jingling, we need master's information. Constantly discussing various key issues, Namikaze Minato, who was sitting on the main seat of Hokage, also pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling that the exhaustion in his heart was about to crush him. Mr. Jiraiya, otherwise, the Hokage position will be handed over to you. He even looked around Jiraiya jokingly. Minato, you are dreaming of such a joke. At this time, Jiraiya is also a, you can harm me, expression. On weekdays, he is very casual and insensitive to being Hokage, otherwise, with his prestige, strength and character, he is actually the most qualified to compete for the position of Hokage. I'm not kidding, teacher. But at this time, Namikaze Minato looked at Jiraiya seriously. After becoming Hokage, my strength has been stagnant for too long. In the current situation in the ninja world, I really want to entrust the position of Hokage, and then go to practice to improve my strength. After hearing his disciple's whispered words, Jiraiya was also silent. He also knew what Namikaze Minato meant. Being in a high position is a master's right, but it is also a hindrance for people like him and Namikaze Minato. The position of Hokage is too busy with daily life, making it difficult for Namikaze Minato, a young cage-level powerhouse, to have time to further improve his strength. Of course, if it is the original ninja world, Namikaze Minato's current strength is completely enough to be vertical and horizontal. With his talent, even if he is Hokage, he will not say that he is standing still or going backwards. But as Namikaze Minato said, the situation in the ninja world is different now. In the face of those real monster-level powerhouses, Namikaze Minato's heart was really shaken by that huge sense of powerlessness. Because he knows very well that if these monsters are really going to attack the village, then with his power, nothing can be protected. Advertisement. 0. For flowers. Not even Namikaze Minato, but Jiraiya herself. This is one of the elites within Konoha Anbu, who is only one step away from elite Jonin. Not long ago, he even followed Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiizaki himself into one of the Konoha ninjas who entered Jingling court. Quote. Yep, but it was also when the 2 masters and apprentices were talking heart to heart. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. It's the enemy attack. But the point is that everyone present knows the identity of the ninja. Everyone, gentlemen. At the same time, the huge smoke and dust outside the meeting window and the screams of the Konoha people were also incessantly heard. The sudden roar, accompanied by a huge earthquake, almost shocked everyone in the conference room. And after hearing Jiraiya's words, Namikaze Minato nodded slightly. But at this time, although the ninja was so frightened that he could hardly speak, he still expressed the most crucial words. It's the guy that Jingling Yun has seen, that. When the question with Jingling is finalized, I will tell Sarutobi sensei for you. But such a ninja, who has undoubtedly seen the world, was too flustered at this time, and even his voice became a little sharp. Otsutsugi Knight. He's here again. If it hadn't been stimulated by witnessing the matter of the 6 Paths level powerhouse and his 3 disciples this time, Jiraiya would not have followed him back to the village to attend the meeting. At this time, the ninjas who were in charge of guarding outside the door also heard the voice of extreme panic. And while the ninja said Chin's name, everyone present felt as if they were hit by a huge Hongchang sledgehammer. So at this time, Jiraiya also looked at Namikaze Minato seriously. It is impossible to remove the position of Hokage, but we should have the opportunity to go to Mount Myoboku for a further, sage mode, practice. Chapter 141. Even if it is Tianyuan, it is still too weak now. 14. Please subscribe. In the huge pressure smoke caused by the previous explosion, Yi Lin, who was wearing the Chara feather coat, was also suspended in the air at this time. When Za smoke approached him, it was bounced off by an invisible repulsion force. Yi Lin looked down at Konoha below and sighed in his heart. Is it a bit too much for me to point to the size of a sheep's wool? Yi Lin muttered in his heart. But on the other hand, there is no way for him to let the person who can complete his plan be in Konoha. Oh, was the settlement of the Uchiha clan repaired so soon? At this time, while waiting for Konoha's ninjas to arrive, Yi Lin even observed with great interest the Uchiha clan station that he had destroyed before. It is worth mentioning that the Uchiha clan residence, which was almost completely razed by him before, has been completely rebuilt at this time. At this time, the ninjas of the Sanchichi Zebo clan were also running from the mansion of the station, and Yi Lin's eyes were full of hatred. The art of fire-style great fireball. At this time, Yi Lin also heard a crisp voice from below. Immediately after that, a huge fireball struck Yi Lin from below. Yep, and Yi Lin glanced at it, and immediately saw a black-haired boy below. The boy has a face that is subtly similar to Fugaku, looks very young, but his face exudes an adult-like calm. Especially in his eyes, there is a distinct three-tomo Sharingan flowing. A ferret. Seeing that the weasel god is still a mini version, Yi Lin glanced at the other party casually. This is one of his favorite characters in the original novel, but now his relationship with him is obviously incompatible. After all, theoretically, Yi Lin is now his father's enemy. Have you opened a 3-go jade at the age of 4? This is more than double the speed of the original book. Yi Lin murmured in a low voice, knowing in his heart that most of it had something to do with his previous killing of Fugaku. After all, the Sharingan of the Uchiha family are prone to open their eyes due to violent emotional fluctuations, and Itachi's eyes are very likely to be for this reason. Advertisement. However, this is the case. He successfully opened 3-tomo Sharingan at the age of 4. This talent is definitely the top of the top. Well, with my stimulation, it is probably not difficult to open Mangekyo. 99. While thinking about it casually, Yi Lin didn't even need a defensive action to face Itachi's great fireball technique. That gigantic fireball had already turned invisible just as it approached Yi Lin. In front of Tensagen, this kind of ordinary ninjutsu couldn't even arouse the slightest interest in him. But just for a moment. Yi Lin's heart was a little surprised by the sudden sound of breaking wind behind him, and at the same time he discovered that a boy who looked about the same age as Rong had actually come behind him at this time. And the Sharingan in his eyes is actually a 3-go jade. Uchiha Ryu's Sun Star Dance. The ninja in his hand glowed with scorching fire in the next moment, and his speed of drawing and swinging the knife was not even inferior to that of any Jonin-level ninja. Looking at this scene, even Yi Lin, who was accustomed to seeing strong men in the ninja world, had no choice but to admire it. So that's it. Great fireball is just to attract my attention, just to take advantage of the gap in Tensaizen to use Shunju to come to me. While sighing in his heart, Yi Lin naturally recognized the identity of the second boy in front of him. Uchiha Shisui, the now recognized Tengu ninja within the Uchiha clan. In the future, this Tenryu will open Mangekyo and the strongest Genjutsu, Jing Tenjin, and will have the title of Shunshi Shisui, because of the strength of Yunjong. As expected of the double walls of the Uchiha family, it's a bit interesting. What Yi Lin found more interesting at this time was that because of him, the historical process that Itachi and Shisui were facing had obviously undergone tremendous changes. Because of Fugaku's death and the previous attack on the Uchiha family's residence, the Uchiha family's vitality was severely damaged, and the plan to rebel against Konoha was likely to fail. In other words, Itachi has a high probability that he will not experience the genocide event again, and he will not become a traitor because of it. On Shisui's side, because Zhang has already defected, he will definitely not be plotted against Zhang. That is to say, the two super goddesses of the Uchiha clan may really grow up in Konoha in the future. As for the current Yi Lin, he has no plans to strangle these two in the cradle because if his future plans develop smoothly, then maybe these two will become his when they grow up. Help. But, advertisement. Even Tianji, you are still too weak now. Shisui, who was slashing at Yi Lin with a ninja knife, heard the other party's indifferent evaluation. Reincarnation. Then, Shisui felt a huge force instantly impact his body far away. While flying high, Shisui also saw the Uchiha clan below the station that had just been built not long ago. At this time, it was destroyed again by the power of Yi Lin's attack, Reincarnation Wheel. The building was destroyed and collapsed like before, and the huge repulsive force swept away at the surrounding in an instant. But it was also at this time. The art of summoning. Triple Rashomon. Just as the huge repulsive force was about to continue sweeping towards the surroundings, with a hoarse sound, 3 huge doors suddenly rose from the ground. The huge repulsive force hit the triple door, and then the door shattered and collapsed, and the repulsive force was completely neutralized. And behind the door, the ninjas who saw Konoha were already standing not far away. Konoha Sanin, Sarutobi Hiizaki, Namikaze Minato, Japanese clan, Boot Road clan, Yamanaka clan, almost all Konoha clans and powerhouses, large and small, are almost all available at this time. And at this time, looking at the Uchiha clan's residence that was destroyed by Reincarnation Wheel, again, Konoha's expressions were also unprecedentedly enlightened. They don't know why the other party in 2.6 held onto Konoha like this, but they came to attack Konoha again. But they know that what they are facing now may be the biggest crisis since Konoha was established. After witnessing the power of the opponent in Jingling court with their own eyes, they will not have the illusion that maybe a single person can defeat the opponent. So before coming here, Namikaze Minato had given orders. Only the ninjas above Konoha Elite Jonin have arrived here, and all the other ninjas have moved Konoha civilians around the village. Just like the meaning of Konoha itself, even if they lose, they still need to save the fire of hope. Konoha ninja, obey your orders. Namikaze Minato made an immediate decision. The other party is a 6 paths level monster, don't take any chances, everything is going according to plan. Chapter 1442 Chapter Konoha Strong vs Otsutsugi Knight. 2 quarters, please subscribe. Following Namikaze Minato's order, Konoha's most elite group of ninjas have clearly already made up their minds. But at this time, they heard Yi Lin's plain words. You don't have to be so flustered, I actually didn't come here for the police purpose, I just wanted to ask you all to do me a small favor. 39. Our world government was a little curious about the matter in Jingling court last time, so I hope you can provide us with some information. Yi Lin's voice was flat, but it seemed to contain Haki who couldn't speak. And his words made Namikaze Minato seem to understand his purpose. Mouth. He's here for what Jingling and Shinobukai wrote. This is a natural guess. After all, the ninja world now knows a lot about Jingling and the world government. Among the information that the ninja world knows now, Jingling is an absolutely neutral and extremely powerful organization, and its internal strength is estimated to be the top among all hidden forces. The world government is also very strong, but it is not neutral, but has the ambition to unify the world. And the two are jealous of each other at the same time, and the relationship between the two is obviously hostile. So from Namikaze Minato's point of view, now that Otsutsugi is here, it is likely that he wants to use the ninja world to understand the current situation of Jingling, especially the situation on the seal of Hueco Mundo. So Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiizaki looked at each other, and they also had a decision in their hearts. They can almost guess that if the world government really knows the specific questions of Ninja World and Jingling, then it is likely to have a big move against Jingling. Because King Ling is not in Jingling, and the seal of Hueco Mundo is in jeopardy, it is the best time for the world government to take advantage of it. Even Namikaze Minato is very skeptical. With the style of world government, he will probably choose to take the initiative to help the virtual circle break the seal. After all, after the seal is broken, the first to face the threat of Hueco Mundo is the ninja and ninja. Jingling. And their world government can completely reap the benefits after Hueco Mundo and Jingling are both lost. The news that the ninja world helped Jingling strengthen the seal must not let him know. Therefore, Namikaze Minato's heart also has an immediate decision. And he doesn't need to say more, because the next moment, other Konoha ninjas who also know the seriousness of the situation will already do it. The first to do it is the white-eyed Hiyashi and the Hiizashi brothers. Advertisement. The two of them, as the helms of the old-fashioned nobles of Konoha without a doubt, also performed the extremely fast body shine technique at the same time and came to both sides of Yi Lin. Then, gentle fist cut off the water. Gentle fist catch the wind. 99. The two of them waved their hands respectively, and then the gentle fist, which the Japanese family is famous for, has already emerged from both sides. The palm wind ripped apart the surrounding air almost like a raging wave. At the same time, Nara Shikahisa, Yamanaka Kaiichi and Kodo Dingza, the famous Ino Shikacho trio of Konoha, also made the same shot. Super Meatball Chariot. So I saw Akamaiki Dingza's body transformed into a huge sphere like a mountain. Shadow Chain So technique. Heart to heart. Nara Shikaku's Shadow Chain Stitch technique is to catch it, and Yamanaka Kaiichi uses the telepathy technique and perceives ninjutsu's positioning, and directs the huge Akamaiki constellation towards Yi Lin like a meteor hammer. Smash it. In the face of the attacks of the strong men of Konoha, Yi Lin just stretched out his hands gently. Reincarnation. The truth that one trick is eaten all over the sky has been around since ancient times, with a huge repulsive force coming out of Yi Lin's hands, the many ninjas who attacked him are all flying hooks into the distance without exception. But obviously, the attacks of the Konoha ninjas will not be so simple. Because at the same time that the Konoha ninjas were hit and hooked, Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiizaki were already attacking again. Sage Art Deuluobianwan. Wuyi Diamond Stick the Prison of Horizontal Cover. 100 Healings Mark Solution. The Fist of 100 Heroes. The Art of 8 Tokus. Advertisement. I saw that Namikaze Minato had entered his Sage mode without knowing when, holding a huge snail pill made of Sage Jutsu Chara. And Sarutobi Hiyori's hand is even more holding the Wishful Diamond Stick transformed by the summoning beast-ape demon. At this time, the road below is constantly getting bigger and blocked. Ancient lines appeared on Tsunade's beautiful face, and her fist, which had freed the seal of Zerera, contained the power to crack mountains and rocks. As for the last, Orochimaru transformed into a huge white snake with 8 heads in his life, who was roaring and slaughtering Yi Lin at this time. In the face of the full blow from the two Hokage and Sannin, Yi Lin still did not panic. Although he couldn't condense the truth-seeking ball, he was still a solid SS-level powerhouse with tensai and infinite chakra. So, the chakra feathers on the body suddenly expanded in the next moment, as if the gods possessed by the gods were instantly transformed into 4 huge chakra barriers, blocking all the attacks of the 4. Then, Yi Lin raised his hand, and his body almost turned into an invisible 377 afterimage. Boom, 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 boom. His fists waved and moved, and the bodies of the four were knocked back at the next moment. Tenseiken is an advanced version of Bian, and the gentle fist that Bian can use is naturally not difficult for Yi Lin. Its essence is to attack the connection point of chakra while seeing through the trajectory of the enemy's chakra, which is naturally easier for Yi Lin. But it was at the same time that the four of them were being repelled. If anyone pays attention, they will naturally find that from the beginning of the battle, Jiraiya, who is the most capable of frontal combat among the Sannin, has actually disappeared. And if the observation is a little more detailed, then it will be found that all the attacks of the strong Konoha before, although it is true that they did their best on the surface, but in fact it seems to be just to delay Yi Lin's actions. And what they did was exactly the art of summoning, Sage Art Barrier, Iwasu Toad. At this moment, with Jiraiya's solemn voice coming from the ground beneath Yi Lin's body, the spatial fluctuations carried by the summoning technique also appeared instantly. But it was at this time that Space Ninjutsu's unique spatial fluctuations appeared, and Yi Lin's reincarnated eyes also showed a subtle color. Chapter 143 Brother and Sister. The Second Five Elders, Otsutsugi Month. 3/4, please subscribe. The Art of Summoning, Sage Art Barrier, Iwasu Toad. As Jiraiya's voice fell, there was also a huge amount of chara on her body. Immediately after that, the surrounding space suddenly turned into a peristaltic channel like gastrointestinal flesh and blood. The position of everyone present seemed to have instantly moved from the original Konoha to the body of some kind of giant creature. And in fact, this is exactly the plan that the ninjas of Konoha had planned in advance before they worked hard. Compared to before, after their trip to Jingling Court, they also had a rough understanding of the Six Paths level. They knew from Shigekuni Yamamoto that ordinary ninjutsu was ineffective against Six Paths level powerhouses. To attack the Six Paths level powerhouse, the only two ways are Sage Jutsu and Taiju. So from the very beginning, the attack methods they used were almost pure taijutsu, and even the occasional ninjutsu was often used as an auxiliary function. And their plan is exactly what it is now. Hiashi and others attacked in the first round, forcing the opponent to use the strange repulsive force ninjutsu. According to the information obtained in Jingling, this kind of ninjutsu is likely to have a gap to use. Afterwards, use Tsunade, Namikaze Minato, Sarutobi Hiizaki and Orochimaru as 4 cage level powerhouses as the second round of suppressing attacks, forcing the opponent to stay in place. Finally, use Jiraiya's most powerful enchantment to enchant the opponent. Of course, ordinary enchantment techniques are also inevitably constructed with Zara, so it is still meaningless for Six Paths level powerhouses. But what Jiraiya uses is not an ordinary enchantment, but his unique, summoning enchantment. With the technique of summoning, a part of Mount Myoboku is summoned as an enchantment. And Iwasu Toad, which itself is the largest and oldest group of Toad Sage in Mount Myoboku, has its own extremely powerful Sage Jutsu chakra. As long as the people who were swallowed into this enchantment have never been able to escape successfully so far. In their opinion, this is undoubtedly the only way to kill Otsutsugi, a Six Paths level powerhouse. 10. Quote. It's not right. Advertisement. Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiizaki, the two Hokages, as well as Jiraiya's hearts, instinctively had such thoughts at this time. They felt something was wrong. Because their plan really went too smoothly. As those who witnessed the Battle of Jingling with their own eyes, they knew better than anyone how terrifying the power of Otsutsugi Knight was. Even before they came here, they were already prepared to sacrifice here, or even to be wiped out. However, although the pressure given by the opponent during the battle seems to be huge, it is far from being comparable to the strength in Jingling Court. This guy didn't use all his strength. So at this time, looking at Otsutsugi Yi, who was also swallowed in the body of the big toad of Iwasu, from afar, strong doubts and unease flashed in their hearts. The next moment, they heard each other's words. No, my mission is complete, it's your turn. There was no confusion in his words, but it seemed to contain a hint of self-satisfaction, and judging from his words, he seemed to be communicating with someone. No, Jiraiya, cancel summoning immediately. And Sarutobi Hiizaki, with his long-term experience on the battlefield, also instinctively realized that the purpose of coming here that the other party had said before was probably a pretense. But Hiizaki Sarutobi's words were only halfway through, and his voice suddenly stopped. It's not that he doesn't want to continue talking, it's that he finds that he can't talk anymore. His body seemed to be frozen, unable to perform any movements, and he couldn't even move his eyeballs. Not just Sarutobi Hiizaki, all the other Konoha ninjas present were also facing the same situation. Their bodies all maintained their previous postures, and their minds were still clear, but they couldn't move their bodies at all. But at this time, Sarutobi Hiizaki's immobile eyes were able to notice an extremely terrifying fact. That is, it is not only them who are stagnant at this moment, but also everything around them. The intestinal wall of the big toad of Yansu stopped peristalsis, and the occasional dripping liquid on the intestinal wall stagnated in midair, and even the dust in the air and even the flow of chara in their bodies were also stagnant. As a result, the knowledgeable ninjas present almost instinctively sense the terrifying truth. It's not our movements that stop, but the time that flows around. Advertisement. While noticing this, the hearts of the strong Konoha also flashed in disbelief. They all know the special police of ninjutsu in time and space, but the gods are pitiful to see the time and space in ninjutsu, and there is absolutely no ninjutsu who can stop time. If it exists, this kind of ninjutsu is definitely not something that can be learned by human beings. And it was at the next moment that they heard a crisp and elegant female voice coming from the side of Otsutsugi. Are you so proud of just such a trivial matter? Brother. Those three guys are really scary. I am also a brother after all, how can you say that you have fled? Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Reincarnation I, Truth-Seeking Ball. She is 6 paths level. She was wearing a pale red robe, and her beautiful figure and delicate face were undoubtedly very attractive. All of Konoha's knowledgeable powerhouses realized this terrible conclusion almost instantly. For example, the pair of azure blue, round eyes intertwined like annual rings, and the inconspicuous black spheres behind them. At this time, Otsutsugi obviously didn't care about the thoughts of the ninjas at all, but seemed extremely dissatisfied with the statement of the girl who suddenly appeared. The woman in front of her, just from that reincarnation eye and the truth-seeking ball, good Jiao Jiao, is enough to show that she is an absolute 6 paths level powerhouse. It's obvious that you escaped from Jingling court not long ago. And from their exchanges, the keywords such as brother, 6 paths level powerhouse, moon, and the words the three people mentioned by the two are enough to make them guess the identity of the girl. As its name called, Otsutsugi month. The girl looked at Otsutsugi Yoruichi flatly. This is their evaluation, I'm just relaying it. 93. Following such words, the ninjas of Konoha also saw a girl slowly appearing beside Shion Otsutsugi. That's not what I said. But it was not her appearance that made Sarutobi Hiizaki and others almost as if they were struck by lightning in an instant, but other things on her body. Both sides are obviously extremely arrogant characters, so that their communication is not shy of the Konoha crowd. Second of the 5 elders. Sister of Otsutsuki Knight. 11. Chapter 144. Reincarnation Flow, the Real Purpose. 4 quarters, please subscribe. It is true that the entire ninja world is actually mentally prepared for the power of the world government. Especially the existence of the 5 elders, they have long been the enemy. But when the second 5 elders really appeared in front of them, they still felt a chill in their hearts. They know even more that this girl doesn't seem to be very old, but in fact, the other party is almost as old as Otsutsugi Yoruichi. Especially the ability that the other party showed at this time to make time stand still is enough to be called appalling. And the strength of these 2 brothers and sisters is enough to make all Konoha ninjas remember the surname, Otsutsuki, forever. But compared to these, what they have to deal with now is an unprecedented crisis. 2 of the 5 elders came to Konoha, and they clearly intended to lead the situation to the current situation, and their purpose was obviously not to explore intelligence, as Otsutsugi said earlier. What do they want? And just when the strong men of Konoha had this idea in their hearts, the girl named Otsutsuki had already moved. I saw 377 in her azure blue samsara eyes, the bright char seemed to be constantly flashing. Behind her, a truth-seeking ball slowly turned into a clock shape. The cycle of reincarnation is reversed. She gently raised her hand and stretched it out towards the surroundings, and then all the Konoha powerhouses felt that everything around them, including their bodies, began to change drastically. The intestinal wall of the Iwasu giant toad, which had been summoning, began to slowly disappear, and the movements of the ninjas were completely reversed from before. That scene, as if centered on the Otsutsuki moon, all the time in the surrounding environment is going backwards. And as the time goes back to the moment when the big toad of Yansu was summoned, the time of the reversal also stopped impressively. Looking at this scene, Sarutobi Hiizaki and Jiraiya already have a faint understanding of what the other party is going to do in their hearts. Advertisement. Because they know very well that the essence of summoning is to teleport a creature or item from another place to their side by means of space teleportation. The way of teleportation AGCG is through the summoning contract and ninjutsu to connect the space channel that is invisible to the naked eye. And the crux of the problem is here, the technique of teleporting a creature to oneself is called summoning. But the key point is that they are also very sure that the Eye of Reincarnation, as the Eye of God of Sage of 6 Paths, is likely to be able to see the space channel directly. She reversed time, could it be? Thinking of a certain possibility, Jiraiya's heart also had a huge anxiety. But it is clear that in the face of SSS level power, his anxiety cannot help him break through the current situation. On the other side, Yi Lin, who is manipulating Otsutsuki Moon, the primordial puppet, is indeed observing with the help of his tensa. In his field of vision, there is indeed a faintly visible space channel. That was the space channel that the summoning technique connected to when Jiraiya summoning Unionsu giant toad. And speaking of this, I have to mention the ability of this SSS level puppet that he put on the Otsutsuki Moon, best. Naturally, the most basic abilities of this puppet itself do not need to be repeated. The body of immortality, the truth-seeking ball and the power of all things are the most basic. And what this puppet is really worth mentioning is the special ability of her reincarnation eyes. Just like what I said before, like Nagato and Madara's round grave, Uchiha Sasuke's heavenly hand power, in the original book, each pair of samsara eyes has its own unique skill. And Otsutsugi's reincarnation eyes evolved from Fugaku's Mangekyo, so its abilities are also related to time. Its ability is called reincarnation and recurrent flow, and it is divided into 3 modes: stop, reverse, and enter. Among them, stop is the time stop ability that Yi Lin is using now, which can stop all enemies in the surrounding time. For ordinary cage-level powerhouses, as long as Otsutsugi stops his ability immediately after being hit, it will take at least half an hour to continue to be able to move freely. As for reverse, it can affect the surrounding range of about 50 meters, which can reverse the time. Advertisement. As for advance, it means to speed up time. These 3 methods of manipulating time are extremely draining of Zara. Even if Otsutsugi has a 10-tails larva in her body, Zara's consumption is extremely huge. Naturally, there is no need to say more about the time stop. Only Otsutsugi Yu and Yi Lin, who is controlled as a puppet, can move during the stop time. The reverse ability is equivalent to an invincible recovery ability. Feeling the breath coming from the other end of the space passage, Yi Lin's eyes were serious and sharp. Of course, Yi Lin also suspects that this ability may not be able to completely stop the opponent's time for the powerhouses who are also at the 6 paths level, but at least it has a great control effect on the opponent. As for the final Jin, it is also an extremely powerful ability. From the beginning, the other party is to attract Jiraiya to use the technique of rhyme summoning, and then use it as a jump to their real destination. Because at this time, it seems that the purpose of these 2 5 elders coming here has nothing to do with them from the beginning. But even so, the horror of this ability is simply appalling. And now, Yi Lin has also completed his plan with the help of the reversal ability of Return of Reincarnation. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. At the same time, these 3 means of manipulating time also have a built-in CD time similar to the Shen Luo Tianzheng. Even if the head is cut off, the body is pierced, or the entire body is wiped out, as long as the ability can be activated at the last moment of the loss of thinking, then going back in time can directly wipe out all the injuries. He is very clear about where this space passage leads, because this passage itself is the purpose of his coming here. Then let's crochet. While whispering to himself, he and Otsutsugi walked towards the space passage in front of him. Mount Myoboku is always the real purpose of those 2 monsters. Sure enough, if you reverse the time of the space channel of summoning, you can directly form the reaction channel of inverse summoning. 99. Looking at the 2 who disappeared in the space passage, the strong men of Konoha didn't feel the joy of breaking away from the crisis at all. Chapter 145 Yansu Big Toad, Die. 1/4. Subscribe. After crossing the reversed summoning passage, Yi Lin, who saw through Tensai eyes, first saw an extremely beautiful scene. Old and tall trees grow everywhere between the mountains and forests, exuding vigorous vitality. The air seems to contain some kind of power between nature and nature, making this place like a fairyland against the background of the blue sky and white clouds. Mount Myoboku, one of the 3 great immortals. And of course Yi knew where this place was. In fact, this time he came to Konoha to do such a thing. Naturally it was not just to attack Konoha. After all, for him now, the stronger Konoha is, the stronger the Konoha is for his 10 tails to regenerate the fruit of Hokusenra, the more advantageous it is. Of course he has no reason to attack the other party. He came to Konoha, in fact, to use the connection between Konoha Sannin and the 3 immortal lands to find an opportunity to go to the 3 immortal lands. And no matter which one of the Sannin uses the technique of summoning, he can follow Otsutsugi's time travel ability to travel to the 3 immortal lands. And it turns out that his idea is indeed correct, because he has now successfully arrived in Mount Myoboku. I hope to find something related to the body of the fairy. Yi Lin whispered to himself in his heart. The immortal body that he needs to complete the special achievement is likely to be related to the inheritance of the 3 immortals Earth. And that's why he came to Mount Myoboku. Boom. But it was also at this time that the uneven ground of the mountain below suddenly began to vibrate and dry. The huge tree started to collapse, and Yi Lin looked down subconsciously. Then he discovered that the so-called mountain range below was actually not a mountain at all, but a huge toad. Iwasu Big Toad. Almost forgot. After seeing this, Yi Lin also understood that this toad was the main body of the previous Jiraiya summoning technique, the Big Toad of Yansu. At this time, it seemed that the huge and cloudy eyes of the Big Toad of Yansu, who had been pleasantly surprised from the long slumber because of the breath of Yi Lin and the primordial puppet, were also looking at the 2 of them. Reincarnation Eye. Tensai's Eye. Who are you? Advertisement. And seeing the white Tensai eye in Yi Lin's eyes and the azure blue Samsara eye in Otsutsugi's moon eyes, this giant toad, which has existed for a very long time, seems to have recognized these 2 supreme pupils at a glance. Origin. But in the face of Yansu Big Toad's questioning, Yi Lin didn't have any intention of chatting with the other party. Because from the moment he came here, it was doomed that he and Mount Myoboku, one of the 3 great immortal lands, must have a hostile relationship. So, okay, let's try that trick. Yi Lin whispered to himself. And as his words fell, one of the truth-seeking balls behind Otsutsugi beside him flew to him as if under his control. And Yi Lin Tenseiyan's unique Chara feather coat wrapped the truth-seeking ball directly at this time. Then, he felt that there seemed to be some kind of inexplicable connection between Tensai and truth-seeking ball. So almost instinctively, Yi Lin released Chara to inquire. Silver. Reincarnation explosion. At the same time as the words fell, a silver light circle spread out from the center of Yi Lin's right hand towards the periphery, carrying a huge wave that was almost exaggerated. And as the aperture spreads, the giant toad of Yansu has clearly sensed the terrifying energy fluctuations. Sage art body is not bad. As a result, a huge sage jutsu chara erupted from the body of this huge giant toad. The rocks and trees on his body, which were almost integrated with his body due to the long sleep, seemed to come to life at this time, and after covering Sage Jutsu Chara, its body slowly turned into non-golden stone. Strange pose. Boom. Then, with the hit of the silver wheel reincarnation explosion, the huge body of the big toad of Yansu was swept away by the silver halo and the gust of wind. Quack quack quack. The big toad of Yansu made a painful and somewhat happy frog cry, but at the same time, it still insisted on gritting its teeth. 04. Seeking flowers. Taste. Advertisement. Wow. But even though his body was covered with sage art, there was still a little crack spreading under the terrifying power of Yi Lin's blow. But soon, the power of the reincarnation explosion of the silver wheel was over, and the big toad of Yansu barely opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He knew that he had survived this blow. Truth-seeking ball. The silver wheel reincarnation blast. Is the real Tensai and Samsara? No. The existence of these two guys must be reported to the temple immediately. The Iwasu toad itself exists in this location in Mount Myoboku Hidden Village, and its meaning is equivalent to gatekeeper. His huge body can ensure that no one will enter Mount Myoboku without permission. So at this time, when he knew in his heart that the two guys who possessed Reincarnation Eye and Tensaizen Eye were obviously not good people, he naturally wanted to leave immediately and report the news to the depths of Mount Myoboku the Great Toad Sage. But it is also at this time. 99. There was a sudden burst of huge buzzing in his ears, and when he looked up, he saw 5 huge things in the sky. That huge thing is made up of 5 truth-seeking balls, constantly turning into a giant shuriken like a black hole. At this time, Yi Lin was holding the huge shuriken with one hand. Truth-seeking ball shuriken. When the words fell, Yi Lin also threw the truth-seeking ball shuriken in his hand. Sage art, the art of frog heraldry. At this time, Iwasu Toad, who almost felt his end, also tried his best to display his last sage jutsu. Cuck. From his mouth, a huge frog croak sounded almost at the same time as the explosion. Buzz. The roaring truth-seeking ball shuriken turned this huge giant toad into pieces in an instant, and the huge roar that swept through it turned everything around him to dust. Chapter 146 Mount Myoboku, the Temple of Oil. 2 quarters, please subscribe. Looking at the terrifying destructive power caused by his own blow, Yi Lin, who was standing in the air, was secretly delighted. It worked. 99. The truth-seeking ball created by the primal puppet can be manipulated with Tenseigen, and those exclusive skills of Tenseigen can also be used. 33. What Fang Rao did was naturally an attempt. Because you must know that although Tenseizen and Samsara Eye belong to the same level of eyes, the strength of the two sides is obviously different. Aside from the basic ability to manipulate attraction and repulsion, as well as the ability to absorb Zara, most of the power of the Samsara Eye comes from the pupil art itself, such as the sealing technique's planetary devastation, the special ninjutsu reincarnation innate technique, and the summoning technique Gedo statue, or its unique special ability. But Twilight is different. Tenseizen's power, 377, comes from its unique Tensamura Chara mode, and most of the skills in Tenseigen Chara mode require the power of truth-seeking ball. In other words, the usage conditions of Tenseigen itself are more restrictive than that of Samsara. You must enter the 6 paths level, and the power of Tenseigen can be fully utilized. Yi Lin was unable to condense the truth-seeking ball before, so most of Tenseigen's advanced skills could not be used. But now, after possessing the primordial puppet, this situation has obviously changed. Although Yi Lin's physique is doomed that he still can't condense the truth-seeking ball, but according to the test just around, he can directly use the already condensed truth-seeking ball. After all, the essence of truth-seeking ball is the materialization of the power of all things, and Yi Lin's own physique is not known, but it is no problem to control it with the power of Tenseigen. And this discovery also made Yi Lin feel that his own primordial puppet and his worthy compatibility are really quite good. Primordial puppet's unique time retracement ability can be used as an auxiliary for control, healing and strengthening. And as long as she provides Yi Lin with enough truth-seeking ball, then Yi Lin can fully utilize the power of Tenseigen. My chakra is almost endless because it is connected with 10 tails charging treasure. What's worse than the 6 paths level powerhouse is the power of all things. Advertisement. Now if the truth-seeking ball has filled me with the power of all things, my power may be able to fight against the 6 paths level. Yi Lin murmured in his heart, but he was still a little unsure. But he wasn't in a hurry. Because he knows. He will soon have the opportunity to experiment with his own power. Because this is Mount Myoboku, one of the 3 immortal lands. Great Toad Sage. While whispering, Yi Lin and the Yuansheng puppet also flew from the sky toward the depths of Mount Myoboku. And as he went deeper and deeper into one of the 3 immortal lands hidden from the ninja world, Yi Lin gradually discovered some special points around him. Are these natural energies? Through Tensai and the primordial puppet's samsara eye, Yi Lin could clearly see that as he went deeper into this mountain range, a strong and special natural energy began to permeate around him. Yi Lin also naturally knows that these rich natural energies are the source of the sage jutsu chakra extracted by the immortals of Mount Myoboku. But that's what's interesting. Yi Lin originally judged from the term natural energy, and believed that natural energy should be a special energy that exists anywhere between heaven and earth, such as trees, and the earth should be able to generate this energy. But now he found that this was not the case. In the entire Mount Myoboku, the deeper you went, the more you could see some strange pools or waterfalls. These pools and waterfalls themselves have a strange luster like essential oils, and almost every pool or waterfall has a toad statue that comes from the heritage of Mount Myoboku at first glance. And the natural energy that pervades the entire mountain, in Yi Lin Tenseiken's field of vision, is actually mostly produced by these strange oils. If you think about it carefully, it seems that the inscription of Mount Myoboku inheritance engraved on Jiraiya's head is also the word oil. Yi Lin smelled a very suspicious aura. Advertisement. If it is said that natural energy itself is not produced by all things in the universe, but is produced by this special oil, then the deeper the natural energy is, the more natural energy, does it mean, this oil tank is entering Sage Mode Core. And if Mount Myoboku is like this, then what about the other 2 immortal lands? All kinds of guesses flashed in Yi Lin's mind, and these guesses were quickly rejected by him or kept in his heart. And he himself knew that he couldn't guess anything useful just by guessing. I have to find the great toad sage to see it for myself, and I will be able to know clearly. While whispering to himself, Yi Lin continued to move towards the depths of Mount Myoboku. And the further forward, the more strange Yi Lin felt in his heart. Because he also heard the frog croak that contained sage jutsu chakra that the giant toad roared before he died, so Yi Lin also knew that the toad should have successfully passed the news before it died out. But when he came this way, the entire toad group of Mount Myoboku seemed to have disappeared, and even a toad leg could not be seen at all. Where have all these toads gone? While muttering in his heart, Yi Lin, who leapt over a hill again, also found a huge and magnificent building complex in front of him. Statues of various toads have been repaired here, and countless buildings even look several times more prosperous than the 2.6 largest ninja village, Konoha. Huge waterfalls of oil on all sides flow down from the high mountains on all sides of the building complex, and the center of the complex built on the mountain platform is surrounded by a huge and ancient temple. And on the plaque above the temple, there is an ancient word written on it, the hidden place of wonderful wood, the temple of oil. And when he came here, Yi Lin's expression instantly became serious. Because at this time, with the help of Tenseiken's vision that can directly observe the chakra and natural energy between heaven and earth, he has already seen the huge natural energy spreading above the sky in the center of the temple, and he has never seen it before. Huge Sage Jutsu Chakra. The Great Toad Sage is in there. Chapter 147 Great Toad Sage, Star Disaster. 3/4, please subscribe. Without the need for extra information, Yi Lin could just rely on the richness of the surrounding natural energy to conclude that the temple called the Temple of Oil that he saw now is definitely the core area of Mount Myoboku. Especially at this time, the huge Chirella in this ancient temple was extremely dazzling in Yi Lin's field of vision. But since he came here, Yi Lin certainly couldn't say that he suddenly retreated here. So he just stepped directly into this huge temple after a short stay. After entering the temple, the first thing Yi Lin saw was a large number of toads. Obviously, they had already anticipated Yi Lin's arrival, and they both held weapons in their hands, and looked at Yi Lin and the primordial puppet beside Yi Lin with extreme vigilance and hatred. Among these toads, Yi Lin noticed the more famous toads like Wentai Toad, Immortal Shensaku and Immortal Zima at first sight. As for the hateful eyes of the toads, Yi Lin can naturally understand. After all, these guys must know about the fact that he killed the big toad of Yansu not long ago. But there is no doubt that even if there are 6 guys with good strength among these ordinary toads of Mount Myoboku, they are obviously inferior to Yi Lin. Even if it is Immortal Zima or Immortal Shenzuo, a high-level person in Mount Myoboku, his strength is only S rank, and his strength is limited. As far as Yi Lin is concerned, he doesn't care whether the other party hates him at all, just like a lion doesn't care about the fear of the sheep. And his gaze was only to see the big toad sitting on a green seat not far away in the center of the temple. This toad is different from all the toads in front of him. Although its body is not comparable to the size of a mountain range like the big toad of Yeonju, it is undoubtedly quite huge. It has an orange body, wears a doctor's hat, and has quite a few wrinkles on its face, and its eyes are narrowed as if they can't be opened. A string of strange rosary beads is hung around his neck, and the word, oil, is written on the opal in the center of the rosary. On the seat below him, the word, Shion, is written. And Yi Lin naturally knew that this old toad was the ancestor of Mount Myoboku, the great toad sage. It should be a rare happy event to have guests from far away. At this time, like a truly dying old man, great toad sage slapped his lips and said vague words. Unfortunately, the guest is a bad guest. Obviously, this great toad sage, who is a bit senile dementia, in the minds of Konoha ninjas, is obviously not really that stupid. Advertisement. For example, his words at this time clearly contained considerable hostility and seriousness. It's meaningless to say something like a bad guest, a good guest, but each has a purpose. The dust of history should have already made you see through these things, right? Your Excellency Toad Maru. He directly said the real name of the Great Toad Sage, which also shocked the other toads below. The name of the Great Toad Sage has not been mentioned directly for many years. Although I've heard your name mentioned by Jiraiya, it's really hard to imagine. But Great Toad Sage didn't seem surprised because Yi Lin mentioned his name. Reincarnation. Tensai, truth-seeking ball. As it spoke, its vague eyes also looked at Yi Lin and the primordial puppet beside him. Does that Otsutsugi Knight really still exist in this world? Obviously, this old toad who has existed for even more than the history of the ninja world has heard of Yi Lin's name. Of course, Yi Lin was not surprised. Otsutsugi Kagaya didn't die either, so my reappearance isn't something amazing, right? I'm just curious, how did you escape that star disaster? 93. The Great Toad Sage nodded, and his words seemed to communicate with an old friend whom he hadn't seen for many years. Even Otsutsugi Kagaya was seriously injured and so weak because of the guys who came from the star disaster, that he was sealed by Yui and Yumura. And you and Kagaya are the same targets of the star calamity, but have survived until now. To be honest, Yi Lin originally talked with Great Toad Sage to a large extent because he wanted to try it out. But he didn't expect that this probing seemed to have found some strange things. Star disaster. God is pitiful. Yi Lin has never heard of this term, and even he can be sure that there is no such term in the original work. But from the words of the Great Toad Sage, Yi Lin could clearly hear that this event called Star Disaster seemed to be aimed at Kagaya and him. And Great Toad Sage's words perfectly explained Yi Lin's long-standing little doubt, that is, because of his intervention, Kagaya must be more than one level stronger than the original. Advertisement. After all, Kagaya acted recklessly after Otsutsugi died, and he was not injured in the battle with Otsutsugi. Under such circumstances, why Kagaya is still sealed by the Sage of Six Paths Brothers is undoubtedly a big question. But now, this question has been answered. The reason why Kagaya was sealed, it seems that he was seriously injured because of the so-called star disaster. Kagaya helped me block the first time, but this second time, it's a bit difficult to do. The difference from the first time was that the second time the Otsutsugi clan descended would inevitably expand the number and strength of the descendants. There is no way anyone on this planet could harm a full Kagaya head-on, so for a while, Yi Lin's mind immediately thought of the only possibility of this star disaster. The Otsutsugi clan, have they sent someone? Yi Lin thinks it will definitely not. If there is a first time, there must be a second time, it's just a matter of time. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As for the final outcome, Yi Lin naturally preferred that Kagaya won, while the members sent by the Otsutsugi clan should have died or at least been repelled. After all, according to Yi Lin's knowledge, Otsutsugi 377 Muishi, as the direct descendant of the Otsutsugi clan, must have been known to Ben's clan after his death. According to Yi Lin's guess, it is very likely that after he and Kagaya joined forces to kill Otsutsugi, the members of the Otsutsugi clan may have come to pass. According to the Great Toad Sage, although Kagaya was injured in the fight against the star disaster, it was only an injury. He boldly guessed that the so-called star disaster was probably a member of the Otsutsugi clan sent to this planet by the Otsutsugi clan. It's just that they naturally couldn't find Yi Lin who had traveled through time to the world of ninjas, so Kagaya sadly blocked a round of disasters for Yi Lin and was seriously injured, and then there were so many things that followed. And even though these things were just Yi Lin's guesses, the more Yi Lin thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. It was for me and Otsutsugi Kagaya, and even the whole body Kagaya after taking the fruit of Senra suffered a knee injury. So he couldn't help but have a deeper worry in his heart. So here comes the question. Will the Otsutsugi clan just stop there? Chapter 148. During this time, the immortals return from twilight. 4 quarters, please subscribe. Although everything was speculation in his heart, Yi Lin's heart undoubtedly had a very strong sense of urgency. Judging from the current situation, for more than 10 years since Kagaya was sealed, at least the Otsutsugi clan did not seem to send anyone to come again. But Yi Lin had reason to believe that after this second star disaster had been brewing for so long, once the Otsutsugi clan sent people again, it would definitely be an irresistible force for him now. After all, the first star disaster seriously injured Kagaya, who was far stronger than Yi Lin, so the second time would not be weaker than the first no matter what you think. What makes Yi Lin feel more urgent is that when this will happen is completely unknown. Maybe when he wakes up tomorrow, he will find that the alien fleet of the Otsutsugi family has already aimed at him in space. But it is clear that no matter how urgent Yi Lin's heart is, he has never changed his expression at this time. Because after all, he still has to concentrate on facing the Great Toad Sage in front of him. Those guys from Star Calamity, of course I have my own way to escape. So he just glanced at the Great Toad Sage a little mysteriously. Kagaya has been looking for me in the ninja world for so many years and has not found me, and they naturally can't find me. Yep. Great Toad Sage nodded in approval. In the past, in order to find you, she really turned the entire ninja world around, but it seems that now, you should be hiding in the place called the Grand Line place, right? Having said that, Yi Lin didn't have the time to continue chatting with the other party to explore the bottom line. After all, he actually didn't have any bottom line, and if he said more, he would be exposed. Where I stay and where I walk is beyond your expectation. Long before you walked this earth, I ruled all things. Yi Lin said flatly. Toad Pill, I only come here for my purpose and hand over what I want one by one. I will not hurt you and these toads. Hearing Yi Lin's sudden and straightforward words, Great Toad Sage also squinted and glanced at Yi Lin. What do you want? I want all the heritage of Mount Myoboku, and the whole Mount Myoboku. Yi Lin directly said decisively. The inheritance of Rhyme, and then you can leave Mount Myoboku with your clan. I can guarantee your safety. He said it with sincerity. If he can get what he wants smoothly, then he doesn't really plan to fight the Great Toad Sage. Sure enough. Just like Yu Yi's guess, do you also want to know the secret of fairy oil? You and Otsutsugi Keigai are really the same kind of people. But beyond Yi Lin's expectations, Great Toad Sage was not surprised at all after hearing his words, but instead said such words. Secret, Otsutsugi Keigai. So Yi Lin was dumbfounded again. God is pitiful. The original purpose of coming to him is actually just to know the operation rules of Sage Mode, and by the way, to see if this thing has anything to do with the immortal body he needs. Advertisement. As for the sudden suggestion of wanting the whole Mount Myoboku, it was also a temporary idea after seeing Mount Myoboku's unique, strange immortal oil pool with natural energy after coming here. But now, it seems that he just happened to bump into something extremely innocuous. Otsutsugi Keigai also wanted to know the secrets of Mount Myoboku. From the words of Great Toad Sage, Yi also clearly heard this message. So in his heart, there was also a sixth sense instinctively, that is this information, maybe it is extremely crucial. But it was also at this time that the momentum of the Great Toad Sage had changed. However, even if you are Otsutsuki Yi, I cannot accept your request. The three great immortal lands are the three great immortal lands, and they will not be given to anyone. In the past, Otsutsuki Keigai wanted to forcibly capture Mount Myoboku, but was sealed by the three of us and the Yui brothers together. Today, you have the same dream taken away. This Great Toad Sage is obviously a typical symptom of some elderly people because of the long time, such as the inability to hide words is one of the obvious features. At this time, his words almost made Yi Lin confirm his guess. According to the Great Toad Sage, Keigai seems to be interested in Mount Myoboku even though he already has two heirs, Haji and Hamura. And she was finally sealed. In addition to the two brothers Sage of Six Paths, there also seems to be the shadow of the three immortals of the three immortal lands behind her. And with this, Yi Lin can extend even deeper. The power of brothers Otsutsuki Hagoromo and Otsutsuki Hamura comes entirely from Keigai, and should not have the power to seal Keigai. And according to the original book, the two of them have powers that Keigai doesn't. It's them that they get from Kagumaru's Sage Mode and Sage Jutsu Chara. And judging from what this guy is saying now, this Mount Myoboku. I'm not wrong. At the same time that Yi Lin's mind was thinking about this, he did not hesitate to manipulate Otsutsuki's move. Super Shinra Tianzhong. Accompanied by Otsutsuki's crisp voice, the huge repulsive force spreads out towards the surroundings in an instant. In the face of the toads of Mount Myoboku, Yi Lin naturally did not have the slightest bit of strength, and he was confident that the power of this blow to Shen Luo Tianzhong was definitely stronger than the blow that Pain destroyed Konoha in the original book. In the face of Otsutsuki's blow, Great Toad Sage's squinted eyes also opened slightly. Between his eyes opening the picture, there is also the color of dew fishing with solemnity and memory. The reincarnation eye. He seemed to have returned to the battle that took several months to finally seal the goddess of Mao, which he experienced when he was still young. Only this time, it is not his comrade in arms who has the eye of reincarnation, but his enemy. Advertisement. While reminiscing, Great Toad Sage also gently stretched out its flippers in front of him. Then, boom. There seemed to be an invisible barrier in the air in front of it, and the repulsive force wave enough to turn a city into ruins cut by the divergent eyes of reincarnation disappeared almost instantly. Looking at this scene, Yi Lin's expression naturally became serious. But at the same time, he was not surprised that the attack of the Samsara Eye was so easily deciphered. After all, he is one of the three great immortals. But it was also at this time. Small Fukasaku, Shao Shima. Great Toad Sage murmured vaguely, and Immortal Fukasaku and Immortal Zima nodded at the same time. We understand, Great Toad Sage. Because in this fog, filled with extremely rich natural energy. The industry is like a fog, and the year of the bag is enshrined. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. And while understanding the essence of the fog in this thick camp, the Sage Jutsu Chara in the toads has slowly become one with the fog. With the words of all the toads in unison, a huge Sage Jutsu Chara suddenly emerged from their bodies. Here, the immortals have returned from dusk. At the same time as the words fell, Yi Lin also found out that all the toads of the Mount Myoboku Toad clan present, without exception, raised their hands at the same time and formed a seal of forbearance. These fogs are that oil, like water that evaporates. So just a moment later, the mist that was one with Sage Jutsu Chara became hazy and dreamy, as if illusory and real. But after an instant perception, Yi Lin realized that something was wrong. The mist seems to have passed through the cage of time and the shackles of space, and there are countless colorful luster in it that constantly shine, wrapping the great toad sage in the mist. From within the fog, Yi Lin also heard the slow words of the great toad sage. Sage art, the art of eternal life. After seeing this scene, although Yi Lin didn't know what these toads were going to do, he obviously didn't want the other party to succeed. And in a moment, a huge mist also appeared around. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. But he didn't even have time to hook good Jiao Jiao hand. Fog. Chapter 149 Great Toad Sage, Join the War. 14. Please subscribe. The words of the Great Toad Sage fell like a prophecy, and then the mist that enveloped the Great Toad Sage suddenly dissipated. And when the mist filled with Sage Jutsu Chara and natural energy dissipated, the body of the Great Toad Sage revealed as also Ishin. Originally full of wrinkles, the old orange body became strong and mighty. The wrinkles on his face disappeared, and the squinted old eyes were also opened. Especially Yi Lin, the changes he observed through Tensagen at this time made his pupils shrink. Because at this time, what the Great Toad Sage has changed is not appearance. The Sage Jutsu Chara within its body also swelled violently at this moment, and the huge vitality was not concealed at all. Blood, bones, tendons, everything in him seems to have returned to the peak, and is no longer the same old age. Its appearance is as if crossing the years of the Ni and returning to the ancient times in the distant past. I made a promise with Hamura that once you show up, we will stop your plot. Otsutsugi Knight, the ninja world can't let a guy like you continue to exist. 33. At this time, Great Toad Sage also spoke coldly, as his appearance returned to youth, even his temper seemed to have returned to the period when he was still full of blood a year ago. Then 393, the Great Toad Sage looked at the other toads around. Fukasaku, Shima, let's go with the children first. This is not a fight you can be in. At the same time as the words fell, the huge body of the Great Toad Sage disappeared in place. Yes, Great Toad Sage. After hearing the words of the Great Toad Sage, although the other toads present were unwilling, they also obeyed the orders of their ancestors. After all, the Mount Myoboku lineage is different from other ninja villages in the ninja world. They have been passed down since ancient times, and their ancestor Great Toad Sage often tells them stories from ancient times. So they were naturally very clear that Otsutsugi was indeed not an enemy they could deal with. That is the enemy identified by the legendary goddess of Mao, the initiator of the Star Disaster, in the ancient times, and the ancient powerhouse that even the Sage of Six Paths and the Great Toad Sage had planned against. Advertisement. Therefore, although they were worried about the safety of the Great Toad Sage at this time, they still chose to retreat according to his words. But on the other hand, Yi Lin naturally didn't know how famous he was in the three great immortal lands. But in fact, he really didn't have any extra time to take care of the toads who were retreating and kept jumping into the pond. So fast. Because at this time, Yi Lin was also extremely shocked. At this time, the speed of the hook displayed by the Great Toad Sage, even his Tensagen and the Samsara Eye of Otsutsugi beside him are difficult to fully capture, but only vague afterimages can be seen. This speed. Is comparable to Emperor Gai's 8 inner gates formation, right? In Yi Lin's impression, the only thing in the original book that can be observed without the Eye of Reincarnation at the speed of Taijutsu is the 8 inner gates formation opened by Might Guy. Sage Art Frog Gizumi. And at this time, the huge body of the Great Toad Sage had already come behind Yi Lin. The original kindness and kindness have long since disappeared. At this time, the Great Toad Sage is mighty and cold, and the huge double jade clenched his fists and smashed towards Yi Lin. The next moment, behind Yi Lin was a truth-seeking ball that turned into a shield and blocked his double selection. And the moment he collided with the truth-seeking ball, the unique Sage Mode physique of Sage Mode, which he used Sage Jutsu Chara and natural energy to cast, was a huge shock wave that broke out and cut almost all the other frogs around. Hit the fly hook. Universal pull. The silver wheel is reborn. While resisting the Great Toad Sage attack with the truth-seeking ball, Otsutsugi next to Yi Lin has already activated the universal pull ability. The huge gravitational force almost instantly AGCG pulled the Great Toad Sage's body firmly, and Yi Lin on the side took the opportunity to stretch out his right hand, so a truth-seeking ball turned into a whistling hurricane. Head to the Great Toad Sage. Sage Art Shina Tohiko. In the face of this blow, Great Toad Sage did not panic at all. His eyes were firm, and at the same time as his hand was moving, a gust of wind also roared behind him. The powerful Sage Jutsu Chara in the wind collided with Yi Lin's silver reincarnation explosion. Advertisement. Boom. Call. The Temple of Oil, built on a platform in the mountains and made with the ancient immortal technique, seems to be making an unbearable voice at this time. Birds flying in the sky fell from the sky, and the already crumbling Temple of Oil was turned into ash and rubble in an instant. Sage Art GN Frog Cry Drink. And with the repulsive force control ability of Tensaizen and Samsara Eye fully opened at this time, an unprecedentedly huge repulsion force collided with the power of Gomon. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Super Shinra Tianzheng. Then, the huge fire wave almost instantly formed a pillar of fire that reached the sky and attacked Yi Lin. It opened its mouth and let out a huge frog cry, and the huge frog cry even made Yi Lin's mind stun for a moment. At the same time as this blow collided, a huge force soared into the sky, almost annihilating the surrounding mountains, vegetation, and clouds in the sky. And this is also the most powerful move in the original Mount Myoboku Sage art that Yi Lin had known before. Using wind and fire oil to assist each other, the Sage art, 5 right, is enough to burn out all the tangible things. Emon. But it is clear that this move used by the Great Toad Sage is 10 times more powerful than the Gomon by the 2 sages Jiraiya and Shima Fukasaku in the original book. The waterfall formed by the immortal oil around the Temple of Oil is even more terrifying and majestic at this time. In such an instant, Great Toad Sage seems to have broken through the shackles of universal pull, and its body has reappeared beside Yi Lin in a split second. In the face of this devastating blow, even Yi Lin had to take it seriously. Super Reincarnation. 99. So as his mind moved, Otsutsugi, who was beside him, had already activated the ability of his reincarnation eye. Sage Art Gomon. The Great Toad Sage opened its mouth again, and from its huge mouth, Shanfeng Shanwo, and Shanyu oil, spewed out at the same time. The interweaving of the three turned into a scorching fire tide that devoured everything in front of it. All. Chapter 150 Yi Lin vs. Great Toad Sage. 2 quarters, please subscribe. The collision of 6 paths level powerhouses is terrifying, especially when there are actually 3 6 paths level powerhouses fighting at the same time. And in the center of the battlefield where all things perished, the Great Toad Sage and Yi Lin and Otsutsugi still stood on both sides of the battlefield. So strong. At this time, Yi Lin had a rare feeling of emotion and deep fear in his heart. The Great Toad Sage in front of him is undoubtedly the strongest among the powerhouses he has ever fought with his puppet. Of course, the Otsutsuki Ashiki and Otsutsuki Kagaya he had encountered before would certainly not be weaker than the Great Toad Sage. However, Otsutsuki was seriously injured by Kagaya's sneak attack before fighting him, and the subsequent fight with Kagaya was just to take the opportunity to escape, and there was no such a head-on collision. But anyway, the strength of Great Toad Sage is at least 1 grade higher than Nagato. In terms of pure taijutsu, the speed and power of its Mount Myoboku Esoteric Frog Group Hand Taijutsu series are impeccable. Yi Lin can be sure that in terms of physical skills alone, the strength of the Great Toad Sage is enough to reach the speed and strength of the Evening Elephant, after the 8 inner gates formation is fully opened, only under Guy's original skill, Night Guy. In addition, the Great Toad Sage's Sage Jutsu attainments make it a perfect powerhouse. His accumulated Sage Jutsu Chara and his battle-hardened experience make it flawless. This kind of perfect power also made Yi Lin not have the slightest advantage in the previous battle even with the help of the power of the Otsutsuki Moon Puppet. And he can also be sure that this ancient immortal who has existed for more than a few years has definitely not used all his strength. But at the same time, Yi Lin heard the slightly subtle words of the Great Toad Sage again. It seems that the star disaster has no effect on you. Your strength seems to be much weaker than the legend. The Great Toad Sage's eyes seemed to become sharper and dry. In fact, when he fought against Yi Lin before, he was also full of consciousness and vigilance. After all, he is an immortal who has existed since ancient times, and he has had more than one encounter with Otsutsuki Kagaya in the past. Advertisement. He also witnessed the strength of Otsutsuki Kagaya with his own eyes. That is the real invincibility recognized by the Great Toad Sage so far. The power is beyond understanding, the power of all origin-level police. If it weren't for the mysterious star disaster that caused Kagaya to be seriously injured, it would be impossible for Kagaya to be sealed by the Otsutsuki Hagoromo brothers. But this is Otsutsuki Kagaya, who is still obsessed with Otsutsuki Ya, the legendary enemy. The Great Toad Sage didn't know how much hatred between the two, because even the brothers Otsutsuki Hagoromo and Otsutsuki Hamura didn't know what hatred their mother had with Otsutsuki Ya. But they knew that Otsutsuki Kagaya almost destroyed the entire shinobi world in order to find Otsutsuki Ya from the world. Even just because Kagaya's second son, Otsutsuki Hamura, had eyes similar to Otsutsuki's knight, Kagaya almost killed Hamura, and in the end, it was the Great Toad Sage who rescued Hamura with the help of the treasure. Therefore, in Great Toad Sage's view, the existence that can make that monster like Kagaya so jealous must be a strong person who is not inferior to the opponent. That's why Great Toad Sage was conscious at the beginning of the battle. But he did not expect that the power of hooking that Otsutsuki has shown so far does not seem to be as overwhelming as that of Kagaya. The opponent's strength is indeed at the 6 paths level, but the fighting strength shown by Otsutsuki is not even as strong as that of the reincarnation-eyed girl beside him. Therefore, the Great Toad Sage naturally came to a seemingly reasonable conclusion: Otsutsuki was actually injured and weakened by the star disaster in the past. It's no wonder that the mysterious and loner Otsutsuki in the legend joins an organization. Your power decline is probably serious. Thinking of this, Great Toad Sage asked coldly. But Great Toad Sage didn't know that if his thoughts were really known to Yi Lin, then Yi Lin would definitely be stunned on the spot. Because to put it more directly, Yi Lin and Kagaya's friendship, or hatred adds up to only a few days. Although he stole Otsutsuki's 10 tails, in the end Kagaya intended to betray him, and in the end Kagaya got the Senra fruit. In the final analysis, the two sides are nothing but a relationship of mutual use.
0 katakana middle dot 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 katakana middle dot. So Yi-Lin can understand that Kaguya hates him, but to say that Kaguya almost destroyed the entire ninja world just to find him would be a bit too much. Although there is hatred between the two sides, it is definitely not that big. But it is a pity that Yi-Lin does not have the ability to read minds, so naturally he does not know the brain supplement and brainstorming in Great Toad Sage's mind. Advertisement: the strength is declining. Slump: Lousy's strength has been increasing, okay? As for the Great Toad Sage, Yi-Lin didn't mean to reply at all. His strength has never declined, but has been steadily improving. But at this time, of course he wouldn't say such a thing. Sure enough. Now is the chance. And Yi-Lin's silence, in the eyes of Great Toad Sage, corroborated his guess.
As a result, the imposing manner of Toad Sage, who had lived a rough life, also changed instantly. So many years have passed since the star disaster, but his strength has not recovered. He came to Mount Myoboku, probably for the special effect of that thing, to help him regain his strength. Since that's the case, no matter what, I must keep it, and continue on, otherwise once Otsutsugi's strength is restored, no one in the ninja world can restrain him. At this moment, the new brain tonic emperor who surpassed Sarutobi Hiizaki is finally enthroned. The brain tonic of the Great Toad Sage at this time is undoubtedly completely beyond Yi-Lin's understanding. While making such a decision in his heart, Great Toad Sage also raised his hand to seal it. Sage Arc Toad Crystal Gun. In its hand, a crystal spear condensed by the extremely pure Sage Jutsu Chara slowly formed. There are distinct toad patterns on the handle of the long spear, which turned into a streamer and shot directly towards Yi-Lin. At the same time, Great Toad Sage gently asked with both hands. Om. And in the center of the string of rosary beads hanging around his neck, the strange opal with the word, oil, written on it is also a hair hook with bursts of bright green light. And on the Great Toad Sage, a strange force almost infiltrated the surrounding void. The crystal spear flies, and after the 3 breaths, the silver eyes applaud the person who covers the feather clothes. Loss.